Hey guys, welcome back to Boring History to Sleep. Tonight we're diving into a fascinating but often overlooked chapter in history, one that will take us all the way back to June 30th, 1908. Picture this: it's early in the morning and the sky over Siberia suddenly lights up with an intense flash. Within moments, a massive explosion rattles the earth, shaking the ground so violently that people several hundred miles away feel it. What happened? A meteorite? A UFO? A secret experiment? Well, stick around because we're going to unravel the strange mystery behind the Tunguska Event, where a massive blast flattened trees yet left no crater. You might be wondering if that's boring history for sleep. Well, it's so bizarre it could keep you up, but don't worry, we'll make sure you drift off. Before you settle in, take a quick second to hit that like button and subscribe. Only if you really appreciate the content I share. Feel free to let me know where you're listening from and what time it is where you are. It's always fun to hear from people in all corners of the globe. Alright, time to lower the lights, maybe a fan on for that quiet background hum, and together we'll settle into tonight's adventure. On that fateful day, the quiet, dense forests of Siberia were about to be rocked by one of the most mysterious events of the 20th century. At around 7:17 a.m., something happened that no one, not even the most experienced scientists, could immediately explain. It wasn't an earthquake, though the tremors felt like it. It wasn't a volcanic eruption, though the air would soon fill with smoke and ash. The explosion that occurred in the remote Tunguska region of Russia was so violent it registered on seismic monitors half a world away. Yet, oddly, there was no crater to account for this enormous burst of energy. No trace of an object hitting the ground, just a vast flattened forest. And so the questions began. Was this an impact from a meteorite or comet? Some scientists certainly thought so. They saw the destruction in the forest, the lack of a crater, and assumed it was the remnants of an incoming rock from space. A meteoroid, traveling at incredible speeds, could have exploded in the atmosphere with such force that it caused an impact far beyond what anyone expected. But as investigations began, the scene didn't quite match up to the traditional meteorite scenario. No crater, no remnants of a massive object, just destruction on an epic scale. This began a search for answers that would span decades, pulling in all sorts of theories, some far more outlandish than others. Could this explosion have been something from outside our world? Could it have been extraterrestrial, a UFO, or some cosmic event that humanity couldn't begin to understand? Or was it, as some would later suggest, the product of something much closer to home, a covert experimental weapon gone awry in the middle of nowhere? Historians still argue whether the explosion was of natural or man-made origin, and that's something that will keep us wondering for years to come. But for now, imagine standing there in 1908, right at the epicenter of the event. The shockwave would have been immense, the air thick with the sound of destruction as trees and plants were uprooted, falling in every direction. The smell of burning wood and the buzz of displaced insects would be all around you. As the dust settles, what would you see? A vast charred landscape stretching out in all directions, a strange silence in the air. What could explain such a powerful, violent explosion without a trace? Scientists, local villagers, and even government officials were left in a state of bewilderment. Now, as strange as the event was, it wasn't completely isolated. The idea of massive, inexplicable explosions wasn't foreign to those who studied meteorites, comets, or cosmic impacts. Yet, this event defied the conventional explanations. Some scientists began to suggest the explosion might have been from a giant rock or ice fragment that exploded upon entering the atmosphere. A comet's icy tail could have disintegrated before making contact with the ground, leaving no evidence of a direct impact. But of course, there was one glaring issue: the lack of any debris. No rock fragments, no crater, nothing to show for an impact. As scientists started to piece together their theories, some of them began to focus on the specific damage caused by the explosion. Entire swaths of forest had been flattened, trees uprooted in a seemingly perfect pattern. There were reports of fires, lightning, and even what some described as strange, pulsating lights in the sky. Some local residents swore they saw objects moving across the sky before the explosion. Could it have been a meteorite? Possibly, but the signs pointed to something more. This wasn't just a falling rock. Something else might have been at play. The more these ideas were explored, the stranger the possibilities became. Could this have been caused by something else entirely? A weapon, perhaps? In the years that followed, rumors began circulating. Could the explosion have been the result of a secret experiment carried out by the Russian government? What if it wasn't an impact at all, but rather a man-made disaster? Theories about covert military operations conducted in the remote wilderness began to take shape. Could the Russians have been testing new advanced technology, weapons we couldn't even imagine in 1908? As we move forward with the story, it's important to remember that this event was one of the most significant mysteries of the early 20th century. Historians still debate what truly happened that morning in Siberia, and no one has a concrete answer. Some believe the Tunguska event was caused by a comet or meteorite. Others suspect an alien presence, and still others point to the possibility of a military experiment. It's one of those great unsolved mysteries of history, and tonight we'll unravel as much of it as we can. After that explosive morning in 1908, the world was left to wonder, what could have caused such a massive, destructive event in the remote Siberian wilderness? As news spread, scientists from all over Russia and beyond began to piece together the puzzle, but their investigation quickly revealed something unsettling. Despite the scale of the explosion, the site itself was eerily devoid of any clear evidence. There was no impact crater, no scattered debris that might suggest a massive object had hit the Earth, and no remnants of a meteorite or comet. The trees, however, told a different story. Thousands of them were flattened, stretching across the landscape in a pattern that suggested a huge shockwave had torn through the region. It was as if something had exploded just above the forest, sending shockwaves through the trees, knocking them over like dominoes. But what caused this? It was unlike anything seen before. One of the first assumptions made by scientists and investigators was that the explosion had been the result of a meteorite or comet striking the Earth's atmosphere. After all, meteorites were known to cause significant damage upon impact. The lack of a crater, though, puzzled them. A meteoroid large enough to cause such widespread destruction would have left a crater behind, or at least remnants of a massive object. But nothing was found. There were no pieces of meteorite, no scorch marks on the ground that would suggest a massive rock had come crashing down from space. In the aftermath, scientists proposed the idea that the explosion had been caused by a comet rather than a meteorite. A comet, being composed of ice and dust, would likely disintegrate in the atmosphere before reaching the ground. The theory suggested that the comet's core might have exploded just above the Earth's surface, releasing an immense amount of energy that caused the widespread destruction. While this idea had some merit, it still didn't account for all the strange details. If a comet had exploded in the sky, why was there no debris? Why was there no crater-like depression, and why were the trees flattened in such a perfect pattern? As time went on and more scientists investigated the site, the mystery only deepened. Eyewitnesses from the surrounding villages described strange lights in the sky before the explosion, as well as a series of tremors that seemed to shake the earth from below. Some reported hearing a sound like the roar of an aircraft or a loud, thunderous crack, followed by the explosion itself. These accounts were inconsistent, and even the villagers who had been closest to the explosion seemed unsure about what they had witnessed. Some believed it had been a massive fireball or a ball of lightning, while others insisted they had seen a strange, glowing object in the sky before the explosion occurred. One of the most bizarre aspects of the Tunguska event was the way in which the destruction seemed to radiate outward from a central point. The trees, which had once stood tall and proud, were now scattered in every direction. Some trees were snapped clean in half, while others had been completely uprooted. Yet, despite the widespread damage, the forest seemed strangely uniform in its devastation. In fact, many of the trees had fallen in a way that suggested the explosion had occurred at a relatively high altitude, with the shockwave cascading downward from above. This left scientists with more questions than answers. As the years passed, more and more theories began to emerge about the true cause of the Tunguska event. Some suggested that the explosion was the result of a meteorite or comet, while others began to speculate about the possibility of extraterrestrial involvement. Could the explosion have been caused by a UFO, or perhaps a hidden weapon from a secret government experiment? These theories, while far from proven, only added to the intrigue surrounding the Tunguska event. By the time the investigation began to wind down, a team of scientists led by Russian researcher Leonid Kulik had visited the site in 1927 to conduct a more thorough examination. What they found further complicated the mystery. The flattened trees stretched for miles, but there was still no evidence of a crater or any direct impact. The forest itself appeared to have been impacted by some sort of powerful explosion, but there were no clear signs of the source of that explosion. Kulik's team collected samples of the soil and trees from the site, looking for any traces of extraterrestrial materials that might have been left behind by a meteorite or comet. They found nothing. No metals, no strange elements, nothing that would indicate a cosmic object had come to Earth that day. So, what exactly happened on June 30th, 1908? Theories abound, and the mystery continues to capture the imagination of researchers and enthusiasts alike. The Tunguska Event, with its bizarre mix of unexplained phenomena and scientific uncertainty, has become one of the most enduring puzzles of the 20th century. Despite advances in science and technology, no one has yet been able to offer a definitive answer. Some experts continue to argue that the explosion was the result of a natural cosmic event, while others lean toward the possibility of a secret man-made experiment gone wrong. As historians and scientists continue to explore this strange chapter in history, one thing remains certain. The Tunguska Event is a riddle that may never be fully solved. As scientists scrambled to piece together their findings and theories about the Tunguska Event, one explanation kept resurfacing. A meteorite or comet had to be the cause. But there was one major problem with this theory. The lack of a crater at the explosion site was puzzling, especially considering the massive energy released. A meteorite or even a comet typically leaves behind a crater or at least some visible remnants of the object. But there was none. However, the suggestion that a meteorite might have exploded high in the atmosphere remained a strong possibility. Some experts believe that the object had disintegrated in midair, releasing its energy before it ever touched the ground. The idea was that the object exploded with such force that it left no trace, only a devastating shock wave that flattened the forest below. The meteorite theory was initially the most popular, but the lack of physical evidence began to raise doubts. Was it really possible for such a large object to explode in the sky without leaving behind any remnants? Historians still argue over whether this could have been the case. Perhaps, they suggest, the object broke apart so completely that the blast was the only trace left behind. But even if the explosion came from something like a comet, wouldn't there be at least some trace of the object itself, or at least some kind of chemical residue? While scientists debated the meteorite theory, something even more unusual began to take hold of the public imagination. The idea that the Tunguska event had been caused by extraterrestrial forces. This theory gained traction in the years following the event, particularly after reports emerged of strange lights and objects in the sky just before the explosion. Could it have been a UFO? Some claim to have seen a glowing object descending toward the Earth before the explosion. The timing of these reports, combined with the unexplained nature of the event, led to wild speculation about possible extraterrestrial involvement. The UFO theory was an attractive one for many people, especially given the mysterious and inexplicable nature of the event. People wanted to believe that an alien force had come to Earth, perhaps to observe or communicate with humanity. Others suggested that the explosion was the result of a failed extraterrestrial experiment, one that went wrong and resulted in the explosion. However, the idea of a UFO causing such an event had no scientific basis. The presence of extraterrestrials, while tantalizing, remained in the realm of speculation and not hard evidence. Despite the allure of UFOs and aliens, the majority of scientists dismissed the idea as pure fantasy. They were more inclined to believe in natural or man-made causes. And so, the theory that the Tunguska event had been caused by a meteorite or comet, possibly a disintegrating object, continued to dominate the conversation. But as we dig deeper into the mystery, another possibility began to emerge, one that would completely change how we viewed the event. Could it have been the result of a secret man-made experiment? This theory suggested that the explosion was not caused by a cosmic object at all, but rather by something far more down to earth, a covert experiment possibly carried out by the Soviet government. This was not as outlandish as it might sound, considering the secretive nature of the Russian government during that period. What if the explosion was the result of some sort of advanced weapon or technology being tested in the remote wilderness of Siberia? What if the event was actually the result of a failed experiment with explosives, or a weapon designed to harness the power of the elements? The idea that the Tunguska event was caused by a secret experiment began to gain some traction in the years after the explosion. Some researchers pointed to the fact that the Soviet Union was known for its secrecy and its willingness to carry out experiments in remote areas. The area where the explosion occurred, after all, was sparsely populated and difficult to access. The event occurred at a time when the Soviet Union was developing new technologies and weapons, and some wondered whether this explosion was the result of one of these experiments going horribly wrong. The theory that a military experiment had caused the Tunguska event was further fueled by the lack of official government response in the immediate aftermath. The Russian government was initially tight-lipped about the event, and it wasn't until years later that they allowed scientists to begin investigating the site. Some theorists suggested that the Soviet authorities had intentionally covered up the true cause of the explosion to avoid embarrassment or international scrutiny. This, they argued, was a common tactic of the Soviet regime, which often engaged in secretive, high-risk projects that were later downplayed or ignored. While the military experiment theory is still debated today, it raises a compelling question. Could an advanced weapon or experiment have caused such an enormous blast without leaving behind a crater or any physical debris? After all, if the explosion had been the result of a weaponized energy burst, it would explain the lack of a crater and the unusual nature of the destruction. Still, there is no concrete evidence to support this theory, and it remains just one of many possible explanations for the Tunguska event. In the end, despite all the theories, the true cause of the Tunguska event remains a mystery. Whether it was a comet, a meteorite, a UFO, or a covert military experiment, no one can say for sure. What we do know is that the explosion that took place on June 30th, 1908, continues to capture the imagination of people around the world, sparking debates and discussions that have lasted for over a century. Some historians still argue that it was simply an unusual natural event, while others continue to explore the more fantastical explanations. What we do know, however, is that the Tunguska event changed the way we think about our planet and the forces of nature that shape it. As the years passed following the Tunguska event, more and more people began to speculate about what had happened that morning. In Siberia, some were drawn to the possibility of extraterrestrial involvement, while others leaned towards natural explanations. Yet, there was one group of people who believed the truth might be more mundane, though no less intriguing. They suggested that the explosion was not a result of a cosmic object at all, but something far more down to Earth, a natural phenomenon, one that could have been triggered by the atmosphere or the Earth's own magnetic forces. While the idea of a meteorite or comet was still widely discussed, modern-day scientists began looking more closely at the role of the Earth's atmosphere. Over time, they discovered that it's possible for a large object to explode in the atmosphere without making contact with the surface. This concept, known as airburst, became a prominent part of the scientific explanation for the Tunguska event. According to this theory, a large asteroid or fragment of a comet entered Earth's atmosphere at an incredibly high velocity, and as it approached the surface, it disintegrated in an explosion caused by the immense pressure and friction. The resulting shockwave would have released massive energy, flattening trees and triggering a blast powerful enough to be felt hundreds of miles away. While the airburst theory made sense in many ways, it also raised questions. If the object had exploded in the atmosphere, how could it have caused so much damage without any visible remnants? What happened to the object itself? Scientists still debate whether an object could truly explode without leaving some kind of debris. But the lack of a crater, combined with the extensive destruction, led many experts to focus on the possibility of this type of atmospheric explosion. In addition to the airburst theory, researchers began looking into other potential explanations that might account for the unusual characteristics of the Tunguska event. Could there have been some form of energy release in the Earth's atmosphere that caused the explosion? Some scientists pointed to atmospheric phenomena like ball lightning, which could theoretically release large amounts of energy and cause explosions. Though incredibly rare, Ball lightning was something that had been reported by people across the world, often in association with thunderstorms. Could the Tunguska event have been the result of such a rare event? Most researchers dismissed this idea, citing the lack of evidence that ball lightning could cause such widespread destruction. Still, it remained a curious possibility for some. Another avenue of investigation focused on the possibility of a volcanic eruption. While the Tunguska event occurred far from any known volcanic activity, some scientists suggested that the explosion might have been caused by a previously undiscovered volcanic vent, one that could have released a massive amount of gas and ash into the atmosphere. However, this theory also fell short, as no evidence of volcanic activity has ever been found in the region. The fact that there were no signs of magma or other typical volcanic indicators seemed to rule out this explanation. Still, the atmosphere remained a likely culprit in many minds. The idea that an object could have entered the atmosphere, disintegrated, and exploded without leaving a trace began to gain traction, especially as scientists refined their understanding of atmospheric physics. This theory would go on to explain many of the strange aspects of the event, from the shockwave to the lack of a crater. But as compelling as it was, it didn't fully answer all the questions. The search for answers grew even more complex as people began to consider a new possibility. The Tunguska event was, in fact, not a single event at all, but a series of smaller explosions. Could multiple explosions have occurred simultaneously, triggering a chain reaction that devastated the forest? Some scientists speculated that a series of smaller objects, perhaps asteroids or comets, had entered the atmosphere and exploded at different altitudes, creating the impression of one massive event. This theory, while interesting, was difficult to prove, as it would require multiple explosions occurring within seconds of each other, a near impossible occurrence in the natural world. Yet, despite the many theories, there was still no definitive explanation for what had occurred. The Tunguska event remained an unsolved mystery, its cause elusive and its aftermath perplexing. What had happened that day in Siberia? Was it a meteorite or comet that exploded in the atmosphere? A UFO or alien weapon? A natural phenomenon or a military experiment? Historians and scientists continued to debate, and still, no one could agree on a single answer. In many ways, the Tunguska event has become a symbol of the unknown, a reminder that even in the age of modern science, there are still mysteries that cannot be fully explained. And perhaps that's what makes it so enduring. A strange, unsettling event that refuses to be neatly categorized. No matter how much time passes or how many theories emerge, the Tunguska event continues to spark the imagination, challenging our understanding of the natural world and our place within it. It's a reminder that there are still forces at play on this planet that we don't fully comprehend, and perhaps never will. As we continue to examine the evidence and revisit old theories, it's clear that the Tunguska event is far from a closed case. Perhaps one day, new technology or new discoveries will shed light on what really happened on June 30th, 1908. Until then, it remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in history, a question that refuses to be answered. The years following the Tunguska event were filled with a mix of skepticism and curiosity. Despite the growing body of theories and research, one thing was clear: the event's true cause was still uncertain, and likely would remain so for the foreseeable future. But there was one thing that intrigued many people, especially scientists, about the event: the absence of a crater. In most impact events, a crater would be the most obvious sign that something massive had struck the Earth. However, with Tunguska, there was nothing. The blast was as powerful as an atomic explosion, yet there was no crater, no debris, and no obvious evidence of an extraterrestrial object. The landscape, though devastated, seemed to show no signs of an object having struck it directly. In the years following the explosion, researchers began to understand that while craters are commonly associated with meteoritic impacts, not all impact events leave a crater. One of the key factors that came into play was the concept of an airburst. An airburst occurs when a meteoroid or comet enters the atmosphere but breaks apart before it reaches the surface. This is a process that happens very quickly, in a matter of seconds, and it releases an enormous amount of energy. The explosion that occurred in the Tunguska region could have been a result of an object disintegrating at high altitude, releasing its energy into the atmosphere without touching the ground. This theory seemed to fit the evidence at the time, particularly considering the widespread damage and lack of a crater. The airburst theory gained even more support when scientists began looking at other similar events in Earth's history. One notable example came from the 1930s, when an airburst occurred over a forest in the United States, similar to what was observed in Siberia. Although the blast in the US was much smaller, it demonstrated that objects could break apart in the atmosphere, causing significant destruction without leaving a crater behind. The Tunguska explosion, many scientists argued, was essentially a much larger version of this phenomenon. Still, despite the convincing nature of the airburst theory, some people were still not convinced. Could there have been another explanation? Could the event have been caused by something more extraordinary? The idea of UFO involvement, though considered fringe by most experts, gained popularity in the years following the event. It wasn't just the locals who reported strange lights in the sky before the explosion. Some researchers uncovered reports from nearby areas that described glowing objects moving through the sky. These reports were inconsistent, but together they painted a picture of something unusual happening in the skies above Siberia. Could it have been an alien craft that caused the blast? Could the UFO theory hold any merit? While the idea of extraterrestrial involvement was intriguing, it lacked hard evidence. As scientists continued to study the event, they found that the explanation likely lay in the realm of natural forces or undiscovered technology, not extraterrestrial visitations. The UFO theory was relegated to the category of speculation, yet it was one that remained embedded in popular culture, making its way into movies, books, and even conspiracy theories. The connection between the Tunguska event and UFOs became part of the legend, intertwining with the more conventional scientific theories in ways that added to the mystery. Over time, as new theories emerged and older ones were discarded, some scientists began to consider the possibility that the Tunguska event might have been the result of something even more extraordinary, a secret military experiment. This theory posited that the explosion could have been caused by a weapon developed by the Soviet Union or another nation, one that had been tested in the remote wilderness of Siberia. After all, the Soviet Union was known for conducting secretive experiments in the region, and the timing of the explosion coincided with a period of intense military research. Could it have been the result of an experimental weapon gone wrong? The idea was certainly plausible, given the secrecy surrounding Soviet activities at the time. However, the evidence for such a theory was scant. There were no traces of explosives or military technology found at the site, and no credible reports emerged suggesting that the Soviet Union had been conducting such experiments. Still, the possibility of a secret military experiment remained in the back of many researchers' minds, adding yet another layer of complexity to the mystery of Tunguska. Despite all the competing theories, whether meteorite, airburst, UFO, or military experiment, the one thing that became increasingly clear was that the Tunguska event was a rare and unique event, one that had never been fully understood. Modern science, with all its advances, had yet to find a definitive explanation for what happened that day. And perhaps, in the end, that's what made it so compelling. It was a puzzle, one that defied easy answers, and it continued to captivate the minds of those who sought to unravel its mystery. The Tunguska event became more than just a historical curiosity. It became a symbol of the limits of human understanding. Even in an era where we have mapped the stars, decoded the human genome, and discovered the secrets of the atom, there are still events that occur on our own planet that remain beyond our grasp. The explosion that leveled the forests of Siberia was a reminder that the world is still full of mysteries waiting to be uncovered, and for that reason, the Tunguska event continues to intrigue, to perplex, and to inspire, whether as a meteorite, a UFO, or something else entirely. As decades passed, the mystery of the Tunguska event continued to baffle researchers, with theories ranging from a natural cosmic event to something far stranger, like extraterrestrial involvement or a covert experiment. But no matter how many theories surfaced, or how much time was spent searching for answers, one question lingered in the minds of scientists and historians alike. Could we ever truly know what happened that day? In the Nikas, a significant shift occurred in the approach to understanding Tunguska. The Soviet Union, still tight-lipped about the event, finally allowed scientists from outside the country to visit the site and investigate more thoroughly. By this point, much of the world had forgotten about the incident, but for a small group of researchers, it was an enigma that refused to be solved. In 1964, a team led by the Soviet scientist Leonid Kulik was granted permission to travel to the site of the explosion in Siberia, nearly 40 years after the event had occurred. Kulik had been one of the first researchers to investigate the event in the 1920s, and his return to the site was a chance to gather more concrete evidence and possibly answer some of the lingering questions. The team arrived in the remote, forested region to find an eerie and unsettling scene. The trees were still lying on the ground in the same, almost perfect, radial pattern as they had been in 1908. The landscape was far from the barren wasteland some had feared. It was an overgrown, wild place where nature had begun to reclaim its territory. Yet, the sense of mystery that had surrounded the area was palpable. Kulik and his team began searching for anything that might explain the explosion, some tangible proof of what had occurred. As they scoured the site, they came up with little evidence to support the theories that had dominated the conversation for years. There were no traces of a comet or meteorite, no fragments of cosmic material, and no indication that an extraterrestrial object had caused the explosion. The team did find traces of radiation in some parts of the site, but it was too low to suggest anything unusual, especially in comparison to the levels typically associated with nuclear tests. This discovery led some researchers to consider whether the explosion could have been the result of an experimental weapon. The idea of secret military experiments, though never completely dismissed, gained renewed attention during this period. The Soviet Union, in the midst of the Cold War, was developing new technologies and weapons. Could Tunguska have been the site of a test gone wrong? If so, why would the Soviet government cover it up so thoroughly? The Soviet Union's silence on the matter only added to the suspicion, but even Kulik's return to the site, with the full backing of the Soviet government, didn't yield any concrete proof of a military experiment or weapons test. This left the airburst theory and the cosmic explanations as the most plausible but still unconfirmed ideas. Despite these challenges, Kulik's 1960s expedition did yield one notable discovery: the evidence of a shockwave, though indirect, that hinted at the force of the explosion. The pattern in which the trees had fallen, their tops facing a specific direction, suggested a powerful and sudden shockwave had radiated outward from a central point. It was the first clue that perhaps the event was the result of an airburst, a large object breaking apart in the atmosphere, releasing an enormous amount of energy without ever reaching the ground. This finding was an important piece of the puzzle, but it still wasn't enough to definitively explain the event. Kulik's expedition rekindled global interest in the Tunguska Event, but by the 1970s and 1980s, as the world became more concerned with the Cold War and other pressing issues, the mystery faded back into the background. However, the allure of the event never quite disappeared. By the time the 1990s arrived, advances in technology and satellite imagery offered new opportunities for exploration. Researchers returned to the site with more modern tools, and their findings, though incremental, brought us closer to understanding the true nature of the explosion. But one thing remained clear: the Tunguska Event was still one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. As new theories and technologies emerged, the airburst theory gained even more traction. Modern scientists, using computer simulations and sophisticated models, began to refine their understanding of how such an explosion could have occurred without leaving a crater. The idea that a meteoroid, comet, or fragment entered the Earth's atmosphere at incredible speed, disintegrating before it reached the ground, seemed to explain most of the strange features of the Tunguska Event. These advancements led many scientists to conclude that the airburst theory was the most plausible explanation. Yet, even as the airburst theory became the dominant explanation, it still left unanswered questions. For instance, how could such an event go unnoticed for so long, especially when it caused such widespread devastation? The Tunguska Event serves as a reminder that even in our age of advanced technology and scientific understanding, there are still mysteries beyond our grasp. Whether caused by a cosmic object, a military experiment, or something else entirely, the event continues to intrigue those who seek answers. For many, it is not just about finding an explanation, It's about the thrill of the search itself, the endless pursuit of truth in a world that often seems to hold more questions than answers. The legacy of Tunguska is more than just the explosion itself. It is the curiosity it sparked, the theories it inspired, and the generations of scientists and enthusiasts who continue to study it. While we may never know the full truth about what happened that day in 1908, the Tunguska Event remains a testament to the power of mystery in human history. It challenges us to look beyond the surface of things and consider the hidden forces that shape our world, forces that sometimes remain just out of reach. By the time the 1990s rolled around, there was renewed interest in the Tunguska Event, spurred by the collapse of the Soviet Union and the opening up of previously inaccessible parts of Russia to international researchers. It was during this period that the event began to receive a fresh wave of scientific attention. With new technology, better methods of investigation, and, most importantly, newfound access to Siberia's remote regions, researchers were once again able to return to the site and revisit the mystery that had captivated the world for nearly a century. In 1993, a team of Russian scientists, led by the renowned Russian meteorologist and researcher Dr. Vladimir Chuprov, began a new round of investigations. They focused on analyzing the forest where the explosion had occurred, taking more precise measurements of the fallen trees and investigating soil samples in greater depth. With the advent of satellite imagery, researchers could map the area with far more detail than ever before. As they worked, the airburst theory began to gain even more traction. They noticed that the trees, though flattened, were not burned beyond recognition, suggesting that the explosion had been primarily a shockwave event, rather than one caused by a massive fireball or meteorite impact. One of the key discoveries during this period was the realization that the tree's pattern of destruction seemed to resemble a typical blast radius seen in controlled explosions. The trees fell in a radial pattern with a clear epicenter, suggesting that the shockwave had originated from above and spread outward. However, the absence of a crater or remnants of a cosmic object still raised questions. Was the shockwave produced by a meteoroid or comet that exploded in midair? Or was there something else at play? Could it have been something even more unusual? The scientific community remained divided, but the airburst theory seemed to be the most widely accepted explanation. During the same time, a number of enthusiasts and independent researchers took a more unconventional approach to solving the Tunguska mystery. Some delved into fringe theories, including the possibility of a UFO or an alien weapon causing the explosion. These theories, though not widely accepted in the scientific community, captured the public's imagination. The idea of extraterrestrials being involved in such a high-profile event created a narrative that combined both science fiction and scientific inquiry. While UFO enthusiasts continued to speculate, the majority of researchers focused on more plausible explanations, such as the airburst theory, though with a degree of skepticism about whether they had truly found the definitive answer. One of the most intriguing aspects of the renewed interest in Tunguska was the discovery of new evidence suggesting that the explosion had triggered changes in the Earth's magnetic field. In the years following the event, researchers began to find subtle shifts in the magnetism of the area surrounding Tunguska. While these changes were not directly related to the explosion itself, they added another layer of complexity to the mystery. Could the explosion have been the result of some natural interaction with the Earth's magnetic field? Some scientists speculated that the explosion might have been caused by a magnetic anomaly, a strange event where natural forces interact in ways that we do not yet fully understand. These theories, while speculative, contributed to the ongoing debate. Meanwhile, more traditional scientific explanations continued to hold sway. In the late 1990s, a team of international scientists, using advanced satellite imaging, began to build a clearer picture of the event's impact. They discovered that the shockwave caused by the explosion had been so intense that it actually knocked down trees up to 15 miles from the epicenter. This discovery was pivotal in reinforcing the airburst theory, as it showed that the blast radius could extend far beyond what would be expected from a typical impact event. The explosion had caused damage over an enormous area, yet there were still no signs of an object hitting the ground, no crater, and no remaining fragments of a meteorite. Despite these new discoveries, the Tunguska event remained an open question. While the airburst theory was the leading explanation, scientists still could not fully explain why there was no visible debris or remnants of the object that caused the explosion. Some proposed that the object had disintegrated completely in the atmosphere, while others suggested that it had been composed of materials that simply evaporated upon entering the atmosphere. However, the lack of concrete evidence, such as fragments of the object, left room for continued speculation. The question of whether a covert military experiment had caused the Tunguska event also persisted. Though it seemed less likely with each passing year, it was a theory that refused to die. Some experts still wondered whether the Soviet Union had been testing a new weapon, a secret technology that was too advanced to be publicly acknowledged at the time. However, no definitive evidence ever emerged to support this theory, and it remained relegated to the realm of conspiracy theories. The Tunguska event, despite all the scientific investigations and modern-day technology used to understand it, continues to remain a source of mystery. With each passing decade, new theories and ideas are proposed, but none have provided a definitive answer. Whether it was caused by a cosmic event, a secret experiment, or even something more fantastical, the mystery of Tunguska has withstood the test of time. The more scientists learn about the event, the more they realize just how little they know. It is one of those rare historical events that refuses to be neatly explained, and perhaps that is why it continues to capture the imagination of people around the world. The Tunguska event is not just a scientific puzzle, it is a reminder of how much we have yet to understand about our own planet and the forces that shape it. While the scientific community continues to debate the cause of the explosion, the legacy of Tunguska lives on as a testament to the unknown, and it remains one of the most enduring mysteries of our time. As the 21st century unfolded, technology and scientific research continued to progress, and with it, fresh perspectives on the Tunguska event began to emerge. The rise of modern data analysis, the ability to simulate atmospheric conditions, and advanced satellite technologies allowed scientists to revisit the event with a level of sophistication that previous generations had only dreamed of. While the explosion's cause still wasn't fully understood, these new tools helped further develop the most widely accepted theory: the airburst caused by a cosmic body disintegrating in the atmosphere. This explanation began to gain more credibility, but there were still parts of the puzzle that didn't quite fit. One of the most interesting advancements in Tunguska research occurred in 2007, when a team of scientists from the United States and Russia decided to revisit the idea of the event's connection to airburst phenomena. By using computer models, they were able to simulate the impact of a cosmic object, likely a comet or meteoroid, entering Earth's atmosphere at high velocity. What they discovered was quite striking. In their simulations, the object disintegrated at around 5 to 10 kilometers above the ground, releasing enough energy to cause a massive explosion without creating a crater or leaving behind significant debris. The blast, the model suggested, would have been more than sufficient to flatten trees over an area of hundreds of square miles, much like what was observed in Tunguska. These simulations brought the airburst theory back into the spotlight. It wasn't the first time this idea had been put forward, but this new evidence made it much more plausible. According to these models, an object about 50 to 100 meters in diameter would have been enough to cause the massive shockwave that flattened the forest. The absence of a crater could be explained by the fact that the object never made it to the ground. It disintegrated before it could cause any impact. This finding helped solidify the airburst theory as the most likely explanation for the Tunguska event, though some questions remained. However, as scientific advancements progressed, a fresh set of problems emerged. Although the airburst theory provided an explanation for the massive energy release and the pattern of destruction, it still couldn't account for certain details. For example, some eyewitness accounts from people in the region describe strange flashes of light or glowing objects in the sky before the explosion. These accounts were not entirely consistent, but they were frequent enough to make scientists wonder: could the explosion have been something more than a simple cosmic event? Could the airburst have been coupled with something else? Some other force, perhaps one that involved more than just a cosmic object? While scientists found evidence of cosmic dust in the region, the notion of extraterrestrial involvement was still dismissed by the scientific community. Still, UFO enthusiasts and conspiracy theorists kept the legend of alien involvement alive, citing the mysterious lights and strange phenomena that preceded the explosion. Some proposed that the strange flashes of light observed by locals were not the result of the disintegrating cosmic object, but rather something much more unusual, a UFO, or even some kind of secret military device playing a part in the event. This theory, though fascinating, had no solid evidence to back it up, and most scientists rejected it outright. But despite this, the link between UFO sightings and the Tunguska event never entirely went away. The fact that eyewitnesses described seeing glowing lights or strange objects before the explosion added a layer of intrigue to the mystery. Some claimed that the lights had appeared just before the explosion, while others insisted they had seen strange objects moving across the sky. These accounts varied, but their consistency across different locations only fueled speculation. Was it possible that the Tunguska explosion was not just a natural phenomenon, but the result of something more deliberate, something hidden from the public? It was around this time that a completely different idea began to surface. Could the Tunguska event have been a result of an energy release from deep within the Earth itself? The theory, known as the geophysical anomaly hypothesis, proposed that the explosion could have been caused by natural forces beneath the Earth's surface, perhaps a massive release of gas or a sudden shift in the Earth's magnetic field. While the theory was highly speculative, it added a new twist to the debate. After all, the absence of a clear crater or debris still left many questions unanswered, and some scientists wondered whether we were overlooking the possibility that the cause lay not in space, but beneath our feet. In the following years, further investigation into the event's effects on the environment deepened the mystery. Scientists studied how the explosion had affected the surrounding ecosystem, and some noted that the event may have caused short-term changes in the Earth's climate. Though the explosion itself didn't cause any lasting temperature changes, the widespread forest fires that followed the event released large amounts of soot into the atmosphere. These particles could have contributed to a brief period of cooling in the region, though this theory remains difficult to prove definitively. The short-term environmental changes that followed Tunguska only served to underscore the enormity of the event, making it clear that the explosion had been a monumental force, one that left a lasting imprint on the Earth's atmosphere. And yet, the mystery of what caused the Tunguska event continues. The airburst theory remains the most widely accepted, but it is by no means the final word on the subject. Theories about secret experiments, UFOs, and even magnetic anomalies persist, though these ideas lack sufficient evidence to gain widespread scientific acceptance. Despite advances in technology and research, the Tunguska event has remained a stubborn enigma, a reminder that there are still mysteries in this world that defy explanation. Whether it was a cosmic explosion, an experimental disaster, or something else entirely, the Tunguska event remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the modern age. Perhaps the reason the Tunguska event endures as a topic of fascination is that it represents something deeper than just a scientific puzzle. It is a reminder of the vast unknowns that still exist in our world, of the forces beyond our control that can shape our planet in ways we don't yet fully understand. The explosion in Siberia, with its mix of destruction, mystery, and intrigue, will continue to inspire curiosity for generations to come. As the 21st century progressed, the legacy of the Tunguska event took on a different character, one of not only scientific curiosity, but also a source of cultural fascination. Researchers, however, were still making strides toward understanding the causes of the explosion. By the early 2000s, new studies into the Earth's atmosphere, combined with advances in the simulation of cosmic impacts, led to more nuanced theories about what might have caused the Tunguska event. Despite these advancements, the event's true cause remained elusive, prompting a deeper examination of its lasting implications on both science and society. The decade following the year 2000 saw the arrival of increasingly powerful technologies that allowed scientists to model the event with far greater precision. For instance, modern satellite imagery and sophisticated aerial surveys enabled scientists to identify areas where damage was most concentrated, offering new insights into the path of the shockwave and the object that may have caused it. This helped further solidify the airburst theory. as experts used this new data to simulate how an object of a certain size and composition might have entered the atmosphere and disintegrated mid-flight, releasing massive amounts of energy without leaving any direct physical evidence on the ground. The idea that a comet or a meteoroid disintegrated at high altitudes became even more compelling when studies revealed that objects traveling at extreme speeds, such as those coming from space, experience a tremendous amount of atmospheric friction as they descend. This friction causes rapid heating, which leads to the object breaking apart in the atmosphere. The scientific community began to acknowledge that airbursts like the one at Tunguska could be more common than previously thought, though this particular incident remained one of the most dramatic in terms of its scale and impact. But despite the compelling evidence for the airburst theory, many details of the event continued to stir debate. For instance, while the airburst explanation seemed to fit the bill in terms of explaining the pattern of destruction, some scientists remained unconvinced about the specific mechanics of the explosion. How did an object of that size and velocity disintegrate without leaving behind any trace? Some experts hypothesized that the object might have been composed of a rare combination of materials, perhaps a fragment of a comet or asteroid rich in volatile compounds, causing it to evaporate almost entirely before reaching the ground. Others still clung to the possibility that an object from space had left behind some trace of its passage, yet the absence of any clear evidence continued to frustrate researchers. Meanwhile, interest in the Tunguska event began to evolve into something more than just a scientific investigation. By the mid-2000s, it became an object of fascination in popular culture, appearing in movies, books, and documentaries. The mystery surrounding the event, combined with its enduring sense of wonder, made it a perfect subject for a wide array of creative works. Some speculated that the explosion was not a natural phenomenon at all, but the result of a secret, failed military experiment, an idea that fueled numerous conspiracy theories. Others turned to more fantastical explanations, imagining alien interventions or interdimensional portals that caused the explosion. Despite these imaginative, speculative theories, the airburst explanation continued to be the mainstream scientific consensus. This ongoing tension between popular speculation and scientific inquiry was not unique to Tunguska. It reflected the broader cultural fascination with mysteries that seemed to elude rational explanation. Whether through UFOs, secret weapons, or cosmic events, the Tunguska event became a symbol of the unknown, representing humanity's longing to understand the mysteries of the universe while grappling with the limitations of its own knowledge. As the years passed, Tunguska's mystery also fueled scientific studies of the potential risks posed by future cosmic impacts. Scientists began to closely monitor the skies for near-Earth objects, asteroids, or comets that could potentially pose a threat to our planet. The Tunguska event, though destructive in its own right, served as a reminder of how vulnerable the Earth can be to objects from space. It sparked discussions about planetary defense strategies, including the possibility of redirecting dangerous asteroids or comets before they could collide with Earth. In a way, the Tunguska event became the catalyst for a global conversation about protecting our planet from cosmic threats. Although no large-scale cosmic impact has occurred since Tunguska, the event remains a key point of reference in discussions about potential risks to Earth. The explosion of 1908 underscored the importance of preparedness and global cooperation in dealing with threats from space. In the decades since, numerous space agencies, including NASA and the European Space Agency, have initiated programs to track near-Earth objects and develop technologies that could mitigate the effects of a potential cosmic impact. Despite all the advancements in space monitoring and planetary defense, the Tunguska event is still a haunting reminder of just how little we understand about the forces that shape our planet and our universe. What might happen if a similar event were to occur in a densely populated area today? Could modern technology help us prevent it, or would the same mystery unfold once again? These are questions that still linger in the back of scientists' minds. And yet, the mystery of Tunguska remains alive. It is a tale that continues to fascinate, perplex, and inspire. Theories continue to evolve, new research is conducted, and every so often, a new discovery is made that adds another piece to the puzzle. But ultimately, The Tunguska Event serves as a powerful reminder of the unknown, a reminder that there are still questions in the universe that humanity may never fully understand, no matter how advanced our technology becomes. It is a mystery that, in many ways, speaks to the heart of human curiosity itself, our desire to understand the world around us, even when we cannot fully grasp its mysteries. As we move further into the 21st century, the Tunguska Event has taken on a new role in the collective imagination, not just as an unsolved mystery, but as a harbinger of the unknown. The scientific community has made enormous strides in understanding the causes of events like Tunguska, but the question of what exactly happened that day still looms large. Despite the progress made, there's an undeniable feeling that some pieces of the puzzle remain just out of reach. While airbursts from cosmic bodies like asteroids and comets remain the most plausible explanation, this still doesn't account for every element of the event. In 2013, a major breakthrough was made in asteroid research when astronomers discovered a new class of celestial objects called near-Earth objects, NEOs. These objects are in orbit around the Sun but come dangerously close to Earth. The discovery of NEOs provided more insight into the kinds of cosmic objects that could potentially cause future Tunguska-like explosions. Researchers began to develop ways to track these objects and predict their paths, as well as methods to prevent potential collisions. This new focus on NEOs reinforced the significance of the Tunguska Event as a reminder that Earth is still vulnerable to cosmic forces. One of the key areas of focus for planetary defense in the wake of Tunguska is asteroid deflection. Scientists have proposed a number of methods that could be used to divert an asteroid's path, such as using nuclear devices or kinetic impactors to push the object off course. In fact, NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office, established in 2016, was designed specifically to monitor the skies for dangerous asteroids and comets. Since then, the office has worked on testing deflection methods, including sending spacecraft to intercept and study asteroids. The lessons learned from the Tunguska Event and its still unresolved mystery have shaped many of these modern-day efforts to protect Earth from similar threats. But the conversation around planetary defense isn't just about future prevention. It's also a reflection on the way we think about cosmic events. Tunguska's legacy also serves as a reminder of how little we know about our own planet's vulnerability to such events. While scientists can track near-Earth objects, there's no way to predict with absolute certainty when or where a cosmic explosion could happen. The fact that we don't know what caused the Tunguska Event, after all these years of research, reminds us that there are still gaps in our understanding of the forces that govern the universe. It's a humbling realization, one that calls into question our place in the vastness of space. The mystery surrounding Tunguska also sparked renewed interest in astrobiology. What if the explosion was the result of an extraterrestrial encounter? Could it have been some sort of cosmic phenomenon involving alien life, or even a failed experiment of some kind conducted by an advanced civilization? While these ideas remain speculative at best, they speak to humanity's natural inclination to look beyond our planet for answers to the unknown. Despite being largely dismissed by the scientific community, the notion of alien involvement in the Tunguska Event endures in popular culture and speculative science. It's a topic that's been explored in science fiction, documentaries, and conspiracy theories, and continues to spark curiosity and fascination. The mystery of Tunguska also invites reflection on the nature of scientific inquiry itself. How do we approach a problem that refuses to be solved? How do we reconcile the lack of evidence with the compelling scientific theories? For many scientists, the uncertainty surrounding Tunguska is both frustrating and motivating. It's a puzzle that requires patience, persistence, and an open mind to solve. And even if a definitive answer remains elusive, the pursuit of knowledge itself is valuable. Every step forward brings us closer to understanding not only the Tunguska Event, but also the broader mysteries of our universe. In addition to scientific efforts, the Tunguska Event has become an important piece of cultural history. Its legacy has permeated literature, movies, and even video games. It's been portrayed as both a cautionary tale about the dangers of space and a metaphor for humanity's frailty in the face of forces beyond our control. The mystery surrounding the event lends itself well to storytelling, whether in the form of thrillers, documentaries, or speculative fiction. The idea that an event of such magnitude could occur and leave so few answers is a powerful one, and it continues to be explored in various forms of media. In the realm of popular culture, the Tunguska event has been used as a symbol of unexplained phenomena and a focal point for stories of survival, investigation, and discovery. From the pages of science fiction novels to the silver screen, the explosion in Siberia is often depicted as a precursor to a larger mystery or as part of a broader theme of human resilience in the face of the unknown. The fact that the event still captures public imagination, even after more than a century, is a testament to its lasting impact. For some, the Tunguska event is a source of inspiration, a call to continue exploring the mysteries of the universe. It serves as a reminder that no matter how far we've come in our understanding of the world, there are still forces that elude us. Whether it's a comet crashing through the atmosphere or an unseen cosmic force, the world around us is still full of surprises. And sometimes those surprises are the very things that challenge our perceptions and push us to explore further. As we look ahead to the future, the legacy of the Tunguska event will undoubtedly continue to inspire curiosity and caution. The knowledge gained from studying the event will help us better understand the risks we face from space, and it will guide future efforts to protect our planet from similar cosmic catastrophes. Yet, in the back of our minds, the mystery will always remain, a reminder of how much there is still to learn and how much we may never fully comprehend. As the exploration of the Tunguska event continued into the 21st century, the story began to take on new layers, both scientifically and culturally. Scientists had advanced in their understanding of atmospheric science, astrophysics, and planetary defense, yet the Tunguska explosion still held an elusive grip on researchers. By the time the mid-2010s arrived, renewed interest in the event didn't just stem from scientists trying to understand what happened that fateful day, but also from the growing global awareness of the risks posed by cosmic phenomena like asteroids and comets. Tunguska, in a way, had become a precursor, a warning signal from the past of the potential dangers lurking above our planet, waiting for the right moment to strike. The development of new space-based technologies, such as the Planetary Defense Coordination Office by NASA, signaled a shift in the way humanity began to think about such cosmic threats. These advances were spurred by the knowledge that while Tunguska had been one of the most devastating space-related events of the 20th century, it was not an isolated incident. The Earth's orbit is continuously intersected by objects from space, and some of them could cause similar or even more destructive events in the future. In that regard, the Tunguska event had become a touchstone for modern-day asteroid impact research, leading to the creation of early detection systems and planetary defense strategies that could, in theory, protect humanity from future impacts. NASA's efforts in this field were motivated by the realization that something like the Tunguska event, if it had happened in a more densely populated area, could have catastrophic consequences for human civilization. The idea of large asteroids or comets coming close to Earth is no longer relegated to science fiction. It's a tangible concern that has pushed nations to cooperate in monitoring the skies. While global efforts have focused largely on identifying and tracking these objects, the Tunguska event's aftermath continued to remind us of the limits of our technology. In addition to planetary defense, the event also influenced scientific debates about the hazards posed by small, near-Earth objects, NEOs. These are objects that could cause substantial damage despite being smaller than the massive asteroids often associated with extinction events. It was this kind of object that likely caused the Tunguska explosion, and scientists have been working to understand more about how smaller cosmic objects can still generate such a tremendous amount of energy upon entering Earth's atmosphere. While a NEO of Tunguska's size, roughly 50 to 100 meters in diameter, wouldn't cause widespread global destruction, its explosion could flatten cities or even whole regions. In the years since the 2000s, astronomical surveys have dramatically increased in scope and scale. The discovery of new telescopes, like the Large Synoptic Survey Telescope, LSST, allowed scientists to more precisely track the movement of smaller objects that might pose a risk. Programs like these have helped develop strategies for mitigating potential impacts. These strategies, ranging from advanced early warning systems to the possibility of altering the course of dangerous objects, were directly influenced by the lessons learned from Tunguska. While global attention and resources were now dedicated to asteroid monitoring, the enduring mystery of the Tunguska Event continued to thrive in the shadows. Despite scientific advances, no one could ever be entirely sure of the event's exact cause. Theories surrounding a potential extraterrestrial involvement, though largely dismissed by the scientific community, remained a persistent part of popular culture. In fact, as we've seen in books, movies, and television shows, the Tunguska Event has often been reimagined as a moment where humanity was subtly brushed by alien forces, an idea that captures the public's imagination in ways that pure scientific explanations often cannot. The UFO connection became increasingly part of the mythos of the event, despite the absence of concrete evidence. The concept of a strange craft or alien technology being responsible for the explosion was an idea that continued to be explored in science fiction. In movies and novels, the Tunguska explosion often marks a pivotal moment in human history, signaling the arrival of extraterrestrial visitors or the beginning of a larger intergalactic conflict. These stories allow us to explore the unknown in ways that hard science cannot, playing off the deep-rooted human fascination with space and the potential for life beyond our planet. But beyond the excitement of science fiction, there's a much more grounded cultural aspect to the Tunguska Event. For many, it symbolizes the limits of human knowledge and the unpredictability of life on Earth. It forces us to confront the fact that, despite all our advances in technology, there are still forces at play in the universe that we don't understand. Tunguska has become a metaphor for the unknown, and in some ways, it is more about the search for meaning than the actual scientific facts. The explosion left behind no answers, only questions, and that is part of what makes it so enduring. The impact of the Tunguska Event also had far-reaching environmental implications. While the explosion itself didn't cause widespread climate change, it did have noticeable effects on the ecosystem in the years following the explosion. Fires were sparked in the forest, and these fires contributed to a temporary increase in atmospheric soot and dust, which scientists later determined could have contributed to a small-scale cooling effect in the region. This Tunguska effect also inspired further research into the possibility that cosmic impacts, even relatively small ones, could have more long-term consequences on Earth's climate than previously realized. Despite all the technological advancements, planetary defense programs, and academic theories surrounding the event, one thing remains certain. The Tunguska Event was a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence. It was a reminder of the vulnerability of our planet to events that are beyond our control, and how little we truly know about the forces that govern the cosmos. While the scientific community continues to pursue answers, and while Earth's systems for tracking potential impacts grow stronger, the Tunguska Event will remain a lingering mystery, a testament to the vast unknowns that still exist in the universe. As new research continues to unfold, the Tunguska Event stands as a symbol of humanity's pursuit of knowledge and our ongoing quest to understand the universe. But just as importantly, it's a reminder that the mysteries of the cosmos can't always be solved, no matter how hard we try. And in that uncertainty, there is both wonder and humility, a reminder that the universe is vast, and we are but a small part of its larger story. As the Tunguska Event continued to capture the fascination of both scientists and the general public well into the 20th century, new lines of investigation began to emerge that pointed to another potential explanation for the explosion. Despite the overwhelming support for the airburst theory, questions surrounding the event's long-term environmental effects, coupled with ongoing technological advancements, encouraged researchers to take a fresh look at the evidence. Could the Tunguska Event have been caused not by a cosmic object, but by an even more unusual phenomenon? Some scientists have begun to speculate about the role of terrestrial processes, such as the sudden release of methane or other volatile gases trapped in the Earth's crust, leading to the explosion. This new line of thought gained some traction in the scientific community, though it was far from universally accepted. The idea proposed that the explosion might have been caused by a natural geophysical anomaly, a massive burst of gas from deep underground that reached the surface and ignited. Such a scenario would help explain the sudden, powerful explosion and the absence of physical debris associated with a meteorite impact. The theory suggested that a natural geological event, rather than a cosmic one, triggered the explosion. However, the lack of definitive evidence for such an event made this theory difficult to support. While the methane release theory seemed far-fetched to many, it underscored the fact that the Tunguska event remained an enigma. Even after more than a century of research, no single explanation had provided all the answers. In fact, as scientists delved deeper into the mystery, they found that the theories about the cause of the explosion continued to evolve, with new research opening the door to even more speculative ideas. Theories about secret military experiments, once considered fringe, gained some renewed attention, particularly in light of the Cold War context and the Soviet Union's history of conducting secret research in remote regions of Siberia. This theory posited that the explosion could have been the result of a failed military experiment involving advanced weapons. Some suggested that the explosion had been caused by a test of a new kind of weapon that the Soviet Union had been developing during the 20th century. However, there was no solid evidence to confirm this, and many researchers found it difficult to believe that such a significant event could have been covered up so thoroughly for so long. Nevertheless, the theory added yet another layer of complexity to the mystery. While researchers continued to explore new theories and scrutinize existing ones, the Tunguska event also began to have a profound impact on the way scientists thought about natural disasters and their potential consequences. It served as a sobering reminder that the Earth is not as stable and predictable as we might like to believe. Whether caused by an extraterrestrial object or a more mysterious terrestrial process, the event underscored the fact that our planet can be subjected to catastrophic forces that we cannot always predict or control. This realization helped fuel scientific advancements in the study of planetary defense, atmospheric research, and the understanding of natural disasters. But it also reinforced the idea that nature, in its infinite complexity, often leaves us in the dark. The world's response to the Tunguska event also highlighted a deeper issue: how humanity should respond to potential threats from space. In the early 20th century, the event was a distant mystery, largely unnoticed by the general public. But as time went on and as global awareness of the event grew, so too did the recognition that cosmic threats, however rare, could have dire consequences. The global scientific community has increasingly focused on improving our ability to detect and track asteroids and comets that could pose a threat to Earth, as well as developing strategies to prevent a future impact. The Tunguska event served as a wake-up call, encouraging nations to work together to address the risks posed by these celestial objects. The formation of global collaborations such as the Near-Earth Object Observations Program and the International Asteroid Warning Network was a direct response to the recognition that Earth could one day face another event like Tunguska. These initiatives have helped increase the global understanding of NEOs, allowing for better tracking and early warning systems that could give humanity the time it needs to develop a response plan. It's an ongoing effort, but the work that continues today is a testament to the lessons learned from Tunguska. As humanity continues to develop its capacity to defend against space-based threats, the Tunguska event serves as both a historical mystery and a reminder of the potential dangers that exist beyond our planet. The exploration of Tunguska, scientifically and culturally, has also led to broader questions about the nature of risk and the limits of human knowledge. Despite the progress made in understanding the event, there will always be an element of uncertainty, a reminder that the unknown is vast and humanity is small in comparison. The ongoing fascination with the Tunguska event has also become an essential part of cultural conversations about humanity's relationship with the cosmos. From conspiracy theories about UFOs to sober discussions about planetary defense, the event has become an enduring symbol of the mysteries of space and the unknown. It is not just a scientific puzzle, but a part of the broader human quest to understand the universe. Even as scientific research continues to uncover more about the event, the mythos surrounding Tunguska persists in popular culture, continuing to shape how we think about our place in the universe. For many, the Tunguska event represents something larger than a simple scientific question. It is a symbol of the unknowable and a reminder that, No matter how much we learn, the universe still holds secrets we may never fully comprehend. The questions it raises are as profound as they are mysterious, touching on everything from the nature of life on Earth to our place in the vast expanse of space. And while the search for answers continues, the Tunguska Event remains, in many ways, a metaphor for the limitless complexity of the world around us. As the decades continued to pass, the Tunguska Event remained a scientific enigma, one that would occasionally resurface in academic papers, documentaries, and public discussions. Despite the best efforts of numerous researchers, the event had yet to yield its final secret. Theories had come and gone, each one offering a potential explanation, but none of them were definitive. And yet, the Tunguska explosion remained a captivating subject, not just because of its sheer magnitude, but because it highlighted the complexity of the forces that govern our planet and the universe beyond. In recent years, new technologies, including advanced atmospheric and satellite monitoring systems, have allowed scientists to gain a more precise understanding of the effects of cosmic events like Tunguska. For instance, the use of high-resolution satellite imagery has provided invaluable insights into the environmental changes caused by the explosion. Research has shown that the event produced a temporary atmospheric disruption, sending shock waves across the globe and releasing a massive amount of energy into the atmosphere. These disturbances were detected as far as North America, further illustrating just how powerful and far-reaching the Tunguska event really was. One of the key findings in recent years was the discovery that the explosion's effects may have caused brief, localized temperature shifts in the Earth's atmosphere. While there was no evidence of a global cooling event, scientists believe that the fires and particulate matter released into the atmosphere following the explosion could have created a temporary dust veil over parts of the Earth. This veil would have reduced the amount of sunlight reaching the surface, resulting in a brief period of cooling in the affected region. While the cooling effect was not substantial enough to have long-lasting impacts on global climate patterns, it reinforced the idea that even small cosmic events can have a measurable effect on Earth's environment. These insights into the atmospheric effects of the Tunguska event were important not only for understanding the event itself, but also for assessing the potential consequences of similar explosions in the future. As global efforts to monitor space-based threats continue to improve, understanding the full range of consequences from such cosmic impacts has become a key area of research. Could an air burst similar to the Tunguska event cause widespread environmental damage in the future? While planetary defense measures are progressing, scientists have learned that the atmospheric consequences of cosmic impacts are far more complex than they once believed. It's not just the explosion itself, but the after effects, fires, atmospheric disruptions, and potential climate impacts that need to be factored into any response plan. In addition to studying the immediate atmospheric consequences, researchers have also delved into the long-term ecological effects of the explosion. While the damage to the forest itself was immediate and dramatic, one of the more surprising findings was that the region eventually began to recover rather quickly. Within just a few years, new plant life began to emerge in the areas that had been devastated by the explosion. The return of wildlife was also notable, with some species of animals seemingly thriving in the newly altered environment. This rapid recovery suggested that nature has a remarkable capacity to bounce back from even the most catastrophic events. Yet, it also raised questions about the broader impact that such an event might have on ecosystems in other parts of the world. Could a similar explosion trigger more permanent disruptions, particularly in densely populated areas? Meanwhile, the scientific community's understanding of the Tunguska event continued to evolve, with new theories and models being proposed. One of the more intriguing ideas that emerged in recent years suggested that the explosion may have been the result of a combination of factors rather than a single event. For instance, some researchers hypothesized that the object causing the explosion might have been composed of a mixture of materials, partly metallic, partly icy, that disintegrated differently than a traditional meteoroid. This new line of thought built upon previous models of air bursts, but incorporated a wider range of potential chemical and physical characteristics of the object. While this theory may help explain some of the event's more unusual features, such as the lack of a crater and the absence of physical remnants, it remains speculative. As scientists continue to test and refine their models, it's clear that the Tunguska event is likely to remain one of the great unsolved mysteries of modern science. Yet, in many ways, this uncertainty has only added to the event's intrigue. As a symbol of the unknown, the Tunguska explosion challenges humanity to confront the limits of its knowledge and understand that no matter how advanced we become, there are still forces beyond our comprehension. The Tunguska event has also become a powerful symbol in the realm of risk management. For many, it represents the ultimate reminder that the world is full of unexpected and uncontrollable events. Even in an era of unprecedented technological advancement, we still don't fully understand the forces that could potentially threaten the Earth. The explosion in Siberia may have been a relatively isolated incident, but it serves as a cautionary tale. Without careful preparation and the ability to respond to unforeseen threats, humanity remains vulnerable to events that seem impossible to predict or prevent. As the years stretch on, it's likely that the Tunguska event will continue to be a source of fascination and inspiration. Whether in scientific circles or in popular media, it will remain a symbol of the unknown, a reminder that even as we discover more about the universe, there will always be things that lie just beyond our reach. The theories surrounding the event, whether it be a comet, a meteorite, a military experiment, or even extraterrestrial forces, will continue to fuel debate. Yet the event itself, with its dramatic explosion and eerie silence afterward, will remain one of the most significant mysteries in modern history. A riddle that has no definitive solution, but which continues to captivate our imagination. As the Tunguska event remains one of the greatest mysteries in modern history, its cultural impact has only deepened with time. Though scientific efforts have brought us closer to understanding what might have happened on June 30th, 1908, the event's strangeness continues to haunt the collective imagination. Over a century after the explosion, the mystery of Tunguska is still woven into a larger tapestry of human curiosity, awe, and a desire to probe the unknown. In the early 21st century, the fascination with Tunguska found a new home in the world of popular culture. It wasn't just a topic for scientific discussion anymore. It had become a part of the modern mythos. The event appeared in countless documentaries, books, and even films, often taking on a more fantastical or speculative character. Some portray it as an ancient warning from extraterrestrial civilizations. Others imagine it as the accidental result of a government experiment gone wrong. Tunguska, as a cultural touchstone, continued to evolve. It embodied humanity's ever-growing fascination with the unknown, with things beyond our control and understanding. In literature, Tunguska became a symbol for the unexplained, an event so profound that it could not be fully contained by the framework of ordinary science. Writers, filmmakers, and artists often depicted it as the kind of event that would unravel the fabric of ordinary life. The idea that something so powerful could strike without warning, leaving only questions in its wake, became a central theme in stories about cosmic or supernatural forces. Fictional works, particularly those within the realm of science fiction and thrillers, have often drawn upon the mystery of Tunguska to explore broader themes of vulnerability, existential risk, and human resilience. One of the more popular myths that emerged in the aftermath of Tunguska was the idea that the explosion could be a harbinger of an even larger disaster, perhaps signaling an impending cosmic event. This theme is often explored in fiction, where Tunguska serves as the precursor to something more catastrophic, often bringing the possibility of humanity's extinction. These types of narratives not only capitalize on the natural fear and intrigue surrounding the event, but also reflect the ongoing anxiety many people feel about the potential risks posed by space. In these works, Tunguska becomes more than just an explosion. It's the beginning of a larger cosmic story, a small warning shot in the vastness of the universe. The myth of Tunguska also plays into our fascination with conspiracy theories. For years, some people have speculated that the event was not a natural occurrence at all, but rather the result of a secret government experiment, an alien encounter, or even a weapon developed in a time of geopolitical tensions. The nature of the event, its violent explosion, the lack of physical evidence, and the government's initial silence has led to a thriving subculture of alternative explanations. These theories continue to live on, nurtured by the lack of definitive proof about the cause of the explosion. The allure of these ideas speaks to a deep-seated desire to believe in hidden truths and conspiracies that lie just beneath the surface of everyday life. The scientific community has, of course, rejected many of these fringe theories, but their persistence shows the continuing power of Tunguska as a source of mystery and intrigue. The event, despite its modern scientific explanations, is still imbued with the air of something unexplained. It remains a powerful symbol for those who question the official narrative, or who simply crave more sensationalized stories about the unknown. The fact that it remains a focal point for both scientific inquiry and cultural myth reflects the broader human desire to explore the limits of our knowledge and to grapple with the bigger questions of existence. One aspect of the Tunguska event that has garnered renewed attention in recent years is its role in raising public awareness about the dangers posed by near-Earth objects, NEOs. While the explosion itself was a rare occurrence, it highlighted the vulnerability of our planet to cosmic impacts. In recent years, public interest in asteroid and comet impacts has risen, as scientific organizations such as NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office focus on monitoring and mitigating risks posed by these objects. Tunguska helped bring attention to the reality that Earth could be struck by an asteroid or comet at any time. Though the event was small in comparison to some of the more significant potential impacts, it was a stark reminder that space is filled with objects that could wreak havoc on Earth. In 2013, the Chelyabinsk meteor exploded over Russia, with a force many times greater than Tunguska's blast. The meteor left behind a visible trail and caused significant damage to buildings, while injuring over 1,500 people. This event brought the Tunguska event back into the spotlight, as it underscored the ongoing risks posed by cosmic impacts. The Chelyabinsk meteor was not as catastrophic as the explosion at Tunguska, but it reaffirmed the need for continued attention and preparation for potential impacts. While the explosion in Siberia was catastrophic in its own right, the overall risk of future impacts remains relatively low. However, even small impacts can cause significant localized damage, and understanding these risks has led to a new focus on planetary defense. The Tunguska event, as a historical touchstone, has been instrumental in pushing governments and organizations to take the threat of asteroid and comet impacts seriously. And in 2021, the United Nations even held a conference on the possibility of defending Earth from hazardous asteroids. However, despite all these advancements, some things about the Tunguska event will likely remain forever unknowable. As much as we've come to understand the basics of what might have occurred that day, the true cause of the explosion may always remain a mystery. This uncertainty, in many ways, is what continues to make the Tunguska event so compelling. Even with all of our scientific knowledge and the strides we've made in understanding the forces of nature, there are still events like Tunguska that challenge our comprehension. And so, as time marches on, the legacy of the Tunguska event remains a rich and enduring narrative. It's a reminder of the vast unknowns of the universe, the limits of human knowledge, and the unrelenting curiosity that drives us to explore, question, and understand. Whether through the lenses of science, mythology, or popular culture, Tunguska will continue to captivate us, serving as a reminder that sometimes the greatest mysteries are those we can never fully solve. As we near the conclusion of this exploration into the Tunguska event, it's important to step back and reflect on the broader legacy of this mysterious explosion. Despite the advances in our scientific understanding, the Tunguska event remains one of the greatest puzzles in modern history, a constant reminder of how much we still don't know about the world around us. For over a century, the explosion in the remote forests of Siberia has captivated the imaginations of scientists, historians, and storytellers alike, offering a rich tapestry of ideas about the forces of nature, extraterrestrial possibilities, and even the limits of human knowledge. The ongoing quest to understand Tunguska is more than just an academic pursuit. It's a reflection of humanity's enduring curiosity and our collective desire to uncover the mysteries of the cosmos. Despite the plausible theories put forward over the years, ranging from cosmic objects like comets and meteorites to secret military experiments to even extraterrestrial involvement, no single answer has been able to fully satisfy all of the questions raised by the event. The lack of a crater, the strange tree patterns, the witnesses' conflicting accounts, and the absence of direct evidence of the object itself have left an indelible sense of mystery surrounding the event. Even today, some historians still argue whether the explosion was caused by a comet or meteorite disintegrating at a high altitude, while others entertain the possibility of a secret government-run experiment gone awry. Still, others wonder if the answer lies somewhere deeper within the Earth's atmosphere, or even in a realm beyond our understanding. This uncertainty is a defining aspect of the Tunguska event. It speaks to a larger truth about the world we live in, that there are still phenomena beyond our comprehension, waiting to be uncovered, and that some mysteries may forever remain just out of reach. And yet, that is precisely what makes the event so enduring. It embodies the perfect scientific riddle, an event so strange and dramatic that it continues to provoke new questions, theories, and debates, each offering another piece of the puzzle, but none ever providing the final solution. The scientific journey that began in the wake of the explosion continues today. Efforts to track near-Earth objects and defend the planet from potential impacts are more robust than ever, thanks in part to the legacy of Tunguska. The creation of planetary defense organizations, the development of new space technologies, and global collaborations to monitor the skies are all direct responses to the lessons learned from Tunguska. The event served as a wake-up call to the scientific community, highlighting the need to take cosmic threats seriously, no matter how rare. It also prompted an international movement toward preparing for the possibility of a future collision, reinforcing the importance of understanding the potential risks posed by space and encouraging cooperation among countries to protect the Earth from similar events. Yet, as much as we have learned, Tunguska also serves as a reminder that even with all our technological advancements, there is still so much that is beyond our reach. It's easy to think of science as a way to explain everything, to seek the ultimate truth in the cosmos, but the mystery of Tunguska shows that sometimes answers can be elusive. This uncertainty, though, is not something to fear, it's something to embrace. After all, it's the unknown that fuels our curiosity, drives scientific discovery, and inspires new ways of thinking. As we move forward, the Tunguska event continues to live on in both the scientific community and popular culture. It has become part of the broader conversation about cosmic risks, planetary defense, and the potential for future impacts. The explosion itself, though more than a century old, is still a touchstone for researchers working to prevent such a disaster from happening again. At the same time, it remains a part of our cultural landscape, whether as a topic in books and movies, a symbol in the world of conspiracy theories, or an enduring metaphor for the uncertainties that lie beyond our world. For some, Tunguska is a cautionary tale. For others, it's an inspiration, an invitation to keep questioning, to keep searching, and to keep looking to the stars for answers. It's a testament to the power of mystery, of the unknown forces that continue to shape our world in ways we may never fully understand. While scientists and enthusiasts continue to debate the true cause of the explosion, the legacy of Tunguska is not solely in the search for the answer. It's in the journey itself, in the pursuit of knowledge that keeps us asking questions and seeking out the answers to the universe's most baffling puzzles. And so, with the Tunguska event, we are reminded of the endless frontier that lies before us, a reminder that the universe is vast and filled with forces we still don't completely understand. It's a humbling thought, but also a thrilling one. As we close this chapter on the Tunguska event, we do so with the knowledge that the world is full of mysteries yet to be uncovered. The search for answers may continue, but sometimes the most profound discovery is the understanding that some questions, no matter how much we long for answers, are meant to remain unanswered, at least for now. Alright, time to lower the lights, maybe a fan on for that quiet background hum, and together we'll settle into tonight's adventure. Good night. Boring history to sleep. The mystery of crop circles. Hey guys, welcome back to Boring History to Sleep. Tonight we delve into the mysterious world of crop circles. Picture it. Vast fields, neatly aligned rows of crops, but then, amidst the perfect geometry, a strange, intricate pattern emerges, flattening the crops into something that could be seen from above. a bizarre, puzzling design. These formations, spanning across the world, have been the subject of debate, fascination, and even a bit of fear. You've probably heard the phrase boring history for sleep, and that's exactly what we're here for. Except tonight's history may just be a little bit mysterious, a little bit thrilling, and definitely confusing at times. You probably won't survive this, but in the best possible way, of course. Before you settle in, take a quick second to hit that like button and subscribe, only if you really appreciate the content I share. Also, let me know where you're from and what time it is as you settle in for tonight's tale. Alright, time to lower the lights, maybe a fan on for that quiet background hum, and together we'll settle into tonight's adventure. The mystery of crop circles has been baffling people for centuries, but only in the last several decades have they truly exploded into global consciousness. While it may sound like the sort of thing that could fit right into a cheesy science fiction movie, it's much more grounded in history, and boring history at that, than you'd think. The phenomenon has a way of pulling in those who are curious, those who crave answers, and those who simply can't look away from the strange occurrences that dot the landscape. Crop circles, those perfectly organized geometric patterns found in crops like wheat and barley, have been cropping up, pun intended, for generations. While they are not exactly a new phenomenon, their increase in the modern era has sparked heated debates, unhinged theories, and a fair share of strange encounters. To begin, it's important to note that crop circles aren't exactly a recent trend. They date back centuries, but it wasn't until the late 20th century that they captured worldwide attention. In fact, the first known record of a crop circle was in 1678, appearing in a woodcut illustration in an English pamphlet. At the time, the phenomenon was called the mowing devil, as it was believed to be the work of supernatural forces. Of course, today we understand that much of the supernatural explanations for these formations stemmed from the lack of knowledge at the time, but in the 16th century people were understandably mystified. The image depicted a strange formation in a field, seemingly burnt into the earth by an angry devil. The belief that supernatural entities were at play was not all that uncommon for people living in such a deeply religious and folklore-driven era. Now, fast forward to the late 20th century, and the crop circle phenomenon began to resurface, this time with a twist. Throughout the 1970s, sightings of elaborate crop formations started popping up more frequently, particularly in England, and it didn't take long before people started speculating whether aliens were involved. After all, what could be more mysterious than massive, complex geometric patterns appearing overnight in fields with no explanation? The possibilities seemed endless. Was it a sign from extraterrestrial visitors? Was it an artistic form of protest? Or was it simply a case of very dedicated pranksters? Whatever the answer, crop circles had truly entered the public consciousness. And so it began. People from all walks of life became obsessed with these puzzling formations. Some saw them as evidence of alien life, while others believed they had a more spiritual meaning. Some claimed they were part of a greater cosmic message, while others insisted they were simply elaborate hoaxes designed to deceive. What was clear, though, was that they weren't going away anytime soon. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, the mystery of crop circles deepened. There were reports of new formations popping up all over the world, from the United States to Australia. More than just simple circles, the designs became more complex. Intricate patterns, spirals, and even fractals began appearing. The question was, who or what was behind this phenomenon? But if you think this is where the mystery begins to unravel, you'd be mistaken. This is just the beginning of our tale, where we'll look at the roots of crop circles and how a simple idea turned into a global obsession. Hold tight, we're just getting started on this sleepy journey through history. As we continue our journey into the world of crop circles, let's travel back in time to where it all started, 17th century England. It's hard to imagine today, but back then, strange occurrences like crop circles were often taken as signs of divine or demonic intervention. England, in particular, was deeply steeped in both superstition and the influence of religion. The early reports of these mysterious patterns date back to the 1600s, and they weren't viewed as the quirky phenomena we know today. Instead, they were considered ominous, potential warnings or messages from higher powers. The first documented crop circle incident, or at least the most famous early account, appeared in a pamphlet published in 1678. The pamphlet's title, The Mowing Devil, suggested a supernatural explanation for the event, capturing the imagination of anyone who came across it. The story told of a farmer who, frustrated with his crop, allegedly made a pact with the devil. Supposedly, the devil, out of spite, flattened the entire crop into a perfect circle, making the design look as though it was the work of a malevolent force. The image accompanying the pamphlet illustrated the circle in the crop, with the devil gleefully watching from above, ready to destroy the work of man. It's interesting to note that this early depiction was far from the elaborate geometric crop circles we know today. The design was simple, a circular patch of flattened crops, likely made by wind or even animal activity. However, the supernatural explanation was just too tempting for people at the time, and the mowing devil entered the folklore of the region, cementing its place as one of the earliest recorded mysteries of crop formation. Back then, the prevailing mindset in rural England was one of deep superstition, and people often attributed strange events to divine intervention or punishment. Natural occurrences that couldn't be easily explained were frequently seen as signs, either of favor or malice, from the heavens or the underworld. For some, the creation of crop circles was not just an interesting curiosity, it was a direct message or even a warning from the supernatural. Though it might sound laughable today, many believed that the devil or other dark forces were capable of creating such strange patterns in the fields. The idea that an invisible entity could leave a perfectly round imprint in a crop field seemed to fit well within the framework of what people understood at the time. And so, when other reports of crop circles surfaced in the following decades, they too were often attributed to spiritual or supernatural causes. People didn't have the modern understanding of weather patterns, wind effects, or even basic agricultural knowledge to explain the phenomenon rationally, and so supernatural theories filled in the gaps. Fast forward to the 20th century, and the mystery of crop circles took on an entirely new life. By the 1970s, the phenomenon began appearing with greater frequency. In this era, crop circles evolved in both scale and complexity, leading to an explosion in interest and the rise of various, sometimes outlandish, theories. But it wasn't just the curious minds of the public that were intrigued by the new developments. It was also the media. The press latched onto the phenomenon, and soon crop circles became a global sensation. What changed in the 20th century was not the phenomenon itself, but the way it was perceived and interpreted. As technology and communication advanced, the world became smaller, and crop circles started appearing in other countries. The mystery deepened. What caused these patterns to appear not just in rural England, but in places as far-flung as the United States, Australia, and Japan? Was there something universal at play here? Was it possible that people everywhere were experiencing the same inexplicable phenomenon? The rise of UFO sightings and interest in extraterrestrial life during this time likely contributed to the growing belief that crop circles were not natural occurrences at all, but messages from aliens. This idea, though not new, was now being discussed with increasing fervor. UFO enthusiasts pointed to the perfect geometric shapes of the circles, claiming that such precision could only be achieved by highly advanced, non-human intelligence. Perhaps, they argued, the aliens were trying to communicate with humanity, using the fields as their canvas, and with that, crop circles went from simple rural oddities to a full-fledged cultural phenomenon, connected to the idea of alien visitors. Historians still argue whether these first reports in the 1970s were simply the result of heightened media interest, or whether there was something more at play. Regardless, one thing was certain: the public's fascination with crop circles was far from over. What had begun as a simple image in a 17th century pamphlet had now become a mystery that spanned the globe, inviting people from all walks of life to search for answers. What makes the mystery of crop circles so intriguing, even now, is that it combines elements of the unknown with the very real: agriculture, geography, and science, all intertwined with the human need to understand what can't be easily explained. But whether it was supernatural forces or simple human curiosity, the early days of crop circles set the stage for the even bigger and more complex designs that would follow in the coming decades. As we move forward into the 1970s, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment in the crop circle saga. a time when the phenomenon began to truly capture the global imagination. While crop circles had certainly appeared before, it was during this decade that the phenomenon experienced a sharp increase in both frequency and complexity. And with it came an entirely new wave of theories and speculations. The patterns were no longer just simple circles, but intricate geometric designs, spirals, perfect angles, and mathematically precise formations that seemed too complex to be explained by natural forces. It was in the 1970s, specifically around the time of 1974, that the first real wave of crop circles was reported in southern England. This surge in activity sparked massive public interest, but what truly set it apart from earlier instances was the way the phenomenon was treated by the media. For the first time, crop circles became the subject of serious media coverage. Local newspapers and even television stations were picking up on the mystery, interviewing eyewitnesses and sending photographers to the scenes of these strange formations. And just like that, crop circles became a subject of international intrigue. The media's portrayal of the crop circles varied, of course. Some outlets took a skeptical approach, dismissing them as hoaxes or tricks played by pranksters. Others embraced the mystery, fueling the idea that these complex shapes were too precise and too perfect to be the result of mere human intervention. This was also the time when the idea of extraterrestrial involvement gained widespread popularity. The late 90s were marked by an explosion of interest in UFOs and extraterrestrial life, thanks in part to events like the infamous 973 Pascagoula abduction in the United States, and the release of films like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. People were more willing than ever to entertain the possibility that these crop formations might be the work of alien visitors. In fact, the first major UFO-related crop circle was reported in 1976, when a bizarre formation appeared in a field in Wiltshire, England. The design was unlike anything anyone had seen before. A series of concentric rings, each one connected by perfectly straight lines, forming a shape that seemed almost too symmetrical to be natural. The local farmers were baffled, and once again, the media seized on the opportunity to speculate wildly. Could these formations be signals from alien civilizations, or were they simply the work of some unknown natural phenomenon yet to be understood? The growing complexity of crop circles only fueled the theories surrounding them. Unlike simple circles or spirals, many of the new formations were composed of multiple geometric shapes, and sometimes entire fields were covered with interconnected patterns. These intricate designs appeared overnight, sometimes leaving only a small patch of untouched crop in the center, further stoking the fire of speculation. After all, if these patterns could appear overnight, seemingly out of nowhere, what could be behind them? But the story doesn't end there. As we move into the 1980s, a group of individuals claiming to be behind the crop circles began to emerge. In 1981, two men, Doug Bauer and Dave Chorley, came forward and admitted to being responsible for several crop circle formations in the UK. According to them, they had used ropes, planks, and a string to create the designs, walking in the fields during the night to flatten the crops in geometric patterns. Their confession, while not exactly debunking the entire crop circle phenomenon, did raise doubts about the authenticity of many of the formations. Bauer and Chorley's admission to hoaxing some of the crop circles led many to believe that the phenomenon could be easily explained as the work of pranksters. However, the complexity and sheer number of crop circles that continued to appear seemed to defy simple explanation. The idea of circle makers, a group of individuals who created these patterns as pranks or works of art, became a widely accepted theory. But even after Bauer and Chorley's confession, there were still plenty of unanswered questions. Some crop formations appeared to be far too complex for even the most skilled hoaxers to replicate. And in some cases, local witnesses claimed to have seen strange lights in the sky near crop circle sites, fueling the belief that something else, perhaps something supernatural, was at play. In addition to the rise of crop circle hoaxes, another curious trend began to emerge. People started to report unusual and often inexplicable physical effects after visiting crop circle sites. Some people claimed to experience strange sensations in their bodies, such as dizziness, headaches, and nausea. Others reported seeing strange lights or hearing unusual sounds near the crop formations. While these reports were often dismissed by skeptics as mere coincidence or psychological effects of the excitement surrounding the phenomenon. They added another layer of mystery to the already perplexing situation. Was there something more going on? Or were these just the result of the mind playing tricks on people who had become too emotionally invested in the mystery? What is particularly intriguing about this period in the crop circle saga is how the media and public perception shaped the ongoing investigation. As theories about aliens, supernatural forces, and secret government experiments swirled, the story of crop circles began to take on a life of its own. The public didn't just want answers, they wanted excitement, mystery, and wonder. And with the media constantly hyping up the strange occurrences, crop circles became a worldwide phenomenon, one that captured the attention of people from all walks of life. Historians still argue whether the surge in crop circles during the 90s was the result of genuine mystery, or simply a combination of mass hysteria and the growing media frenzy. Regardless, this was the period when crop circles evolved from curious oddities to full-blown cultural icons, and the deeper the mystery grew, the more the world became fascinated by the question, who or what was creating these perfect patterns in the fields? By the 1980s and 1990s, crop circles had transformed from a rural curiosity into a global phenomenon. The once simple and somewhat eerie formations began to evolve, growing ever more intricate, complex, and, according to many, impossible to replicate without advanced technology. What began as simple circles in a field had turned into entire landscapes of interconnected patterns, featuring elaborate geometrical shapes like fractals, spirals, and complex designs that seemed almost too precise to be created by human hands. It was as if the fields themselves had become canvases for some unknown force. During this time, crop circles were not only the subject of media attention and public fascination, but also a playground for some of the most talented hoaxers and artists. Enter Doug Bauer and Dave Chorley, the two men who famously confessed in 1991 to being behind many of the crop circle designs that had appeared in southern England in the previous decade. Their method was relatively simple. Armed with a rope, a board, and a string, they would march through the fields at night, flattening the crops to form the now famous geometric shapes. They explained that their work was just a bit of mischievous fun, pranks really, and that the public had exaggerated the mystery surrounding the phenomenon. While Bauer and Chorley's confession did debunk a significant portion of the crop circle phenomenon, it didn't account for everything. Their hoaxes were, after all, limited to specific regions in southern England, and there were still countless formations reported elsewhere in the world, some of which were far more complex than anything Bauer and Chorley had created. And besides, many people still found it difficult to believe that a couple of pranksters could craft such sophisticated designs without the help of advanced tools or machinery. Some began to wonder if perhaps there were other forces at play, forces beyond simple human trickery. One of the central arguments from those who continued to believe in the mystery of crop circles was the sheer complexity of the designs. Unlike the simple, rudimentary circles of the 1970s, many of the crop formations that began to appear in the 80s and 90s featured highly intricate and mathematically perfect shapes, such as fractals, pyramids, and even intricate representations of sacred geometry. These designs often seem to defy conventional understanding of both natural forces and human capability. How could people, with primitive tools, create such stunning, precise works of art in the middle of the night? To further fuel the intrigue, strange phenomena were often reported at crop circle sites. Witnesses claimed to have seen flashing lights in the sky, strange glowing orbs hovering above the fields, and unexplained electromagnetic disturbances. In some cases, visitors to crop circle locations reported experiencing physical sensations, dizziness, headaches, or nausea, while others claimed to feel an overwhelming sense of awe or spiritual connection when standing inside the formations. These experiences seem to suggest that there was more to the crop circles than met the eye. Skeptics, of course, dismissed these reports as mere coincidence or the result of suggestion, but they added another layer of intrigue to the already mysterious phenomenon. If crop circles were the work of hoaxers, what could explain these strange phenomena? Could it be that people were simply experiencing the effects of the collective excitement surrounding the mystery? Or could there be something more to the story? In addition to the physical experiences reported by visitors, some scientists began to investigate the crop circles more closely, searching for any signs of unusual physical effects on the crops themselves. What they found, in some cases, was truly baffling. In certain crop formations, researchers discovered that the plants at the center of the circles were bent in a way that suggested they had been subjected to intense heat or pressure. Some plants appeared to be physically altered, with their cellular structure showing signs of stress that were not consistent with natural forces like wind or animal activity. These findings led some scientists to propose that the crops might have been exposed to some sort of high-energy phenomenon, such as electromagnetic fields or microwave radiation. As the debate raged on, one of the most persistent theories surrounding crop circles was the idea that they were not just random patterns, but carefully planned and executed works of art. In this view, crop circles were seen as a form of artistic expression, created by a group of individuals who had mastered the craft of designing intricate patterns in the fields. These artists, who became known as the circle makers, were believed to be responsible for the majority of the crop circles that appeared in the 980s and beyond. However, there was also a segment of the population that believed these circle makers were simply part of a larger conspiracy, a group of individuals who were working to cover up the true origin of the crop circles. Despite the growing number of hoax, confessions, and scientific investigations, the allure of the crop circle mystery remained as strong as ever. For every hoaxer that came forward to claim responsibility for a formation, a new and more complex crop circle would appear, reigniting the debate and keeping the mystery alive. The idea that crop circles could be the work of extraterrestrials or some other unknown force continued to captivate the imagination of millions of people worldwide. The debate over the origin of crop circles remains unresolved to this day. Historians still argue whether the phenomenon is purely the result of human hoaxes or whether something more mysterious is at play. But one thing is certain, crop circles have left an indelible mark on our cultural consciousness, sparking curiosity, wonder, and fascination that has persisted for decades. As the debate surrounding crop circles raged on, it became clear that one thing was certain: the mystery of their origin was far from being solved. For every hoaxer who came forward to claim responsibility, a new, more elaborate crop circle would emerge, reigniting questions and theories about what was really happening in the fields. And so, as we move further into the 1980s and 1990s, the theories surrounding crop circles began to grow in number and complexity, as people from all walks of life tried to make sense of the phenomenon. Some turned to the possibility of extraterrestrial involvement, while others entertained more mystical or paranormal explanations. But whatever the cause, crop circles remained a subject of intrigue and speculation. One of the most enduring theories about crop circles during this period was the idea that they were created by aliens or extraterrestrial beings. As we saw earlier, the rise in UFO sightings and interest in alien life during the 1970s had already set the stage for this theory to take hold. The idea that crop circles were some form of alien communication, a message from otherworldly beings trying to make contact with humanity, seemed to fit neatly with the growing fascination with extraterrestrials. The perfectly geometric patterns, so unlike anything that could be created by human hands, were seen by many as evidence of advanced alien intelligence. But what did these messages mean? Were the crop circles simply signals, or were they intended to convey a more complex message, perhaps a warning or invitation to Earth's inhabitants? To this day, no definitive evidence has been found to support the idea that crop circles are of extraterrestrial origin. However, that hasn't stopped people from speculating. There were reports from crop circle witnesses who claimed to have seen strange lights in the sky, often in close proximity to the fields where the formations appeared. Some even reported seeing glowing orbs or other unidentifiable aerial phenomena in the immediate vicinity of the crop circles. These sightings, coupled with the bizarre precision of the crop formations, fueled the belief that perhaps, just perhaps, these were messages from otherworldly visitors. Of course, no mystery is complete without its fair share of fringe theories. Some individuals went so far as to claim that crop circles were connected to ancient extraterrestrial civilizations, like the ones described in ancient astronaut theories. These ideas suggested that extraterrestrial beings had visited Earth long before our modern era, leaving behind cryptic clues in the form of crop circles and other mysterious phenomena. According to this line of thought, the crop circles were a form of ongoing communication from these ancient visitors, urging humanity to wake up to the reality of our extraterrestrial origins. While these theories are widely regarded as pseudoscience, they nonetheless contributed to the allure and mystique surrounding the crop circle phenomenon. At the same time, another theory began to take shape, one that was more grounded in the natural world but still far from mundane. Some proponents of this theory suggested that crop circles were the result of some kind of magnetic or electromagnetic phenomenon. According to this line of thought, powerful energy fields, possibly caused by solar activity or atmospheric conditions, could explain the strange patterns found in the fields. Supporters of this theory pointed to the strange physical effects sometimes observed in the crops, such as the way the plants appeared to bend in odd directions, as evidence of an unknown energy force at work. They argued that this magnetic or electromagnetic energy could have an effect on the crops, causing them to flatten in intricate patterns, almost as if they were being manipulated by some unseen force. Another fringe theory that emerged during this time was tied to the mystical and spiritual beliefs of certain individuals and groups. Some saw the crop circles as signs of a deeper cosmic connection, a manifestation of spiritual energy from higher realms. According to this theory, the geometric patterns were not the work of aliens, hoaxers, or natural phenomena, but were instead created by mystical forces or even by the collective consciousness of humanity itself. Proponents of this theory suggested that the crop circles were symbols of enlightenment or messages from higher beings, urging humanity to evolve spiritually or connected with the greater mysteries of the universe. This view was often tied to New Age beliefs and was embraced by those who saw the crop circles as part of a larger cosmic plan. While these theories all sounded plausible to some, none of them could provide definitive proof of the true origin of the crop circles. And as the years passed, the phenomenon continued to elude explanation, leaving many to wonder whether there would ever be a clear answer. Some people began to feel that the mystery itself, more than any definitive answer, was what kept the public intrigued. After all, the unanswered questions were what made crop circles so fascinating in the first place. The sheer possibility that they could be created by something otherworldly or unknown kept people coming back for more, eager to see what new formations would appear and what new theories would emerge to explain them. Yet, as the 1990s drew to a close, there was a growing sense of skepticism surrounding crop circles. The Confessions of Bauer and Chorley in 1991 had already cast doubt on the idea that crop circles were entirely the work of aliens, and in the years that followed, more and more hoaxers came forward, admitting to their involvement in creating some of the formations. With this, the line between reality and fiction began to blur, and many people started to question whether crop circles were simply the result of human creativity and mischief, perhaps more elaborate than initially thought, but still firmly grounded in the earthly realm. Historians still argue whether the increasing complexity of crop circles in the 1980s and 1990s was truly the result of hoaxers becoming more skilled, or if there was something more at play, something beyond the realm of human understanding. But whatever the explanation, one thing remains clear. The mystery of crop circles continues to capture the imagination of people all over the world. And in the end, maybe that's all that really matters, the mystery itself. As the debate continued into the 2000s, it became increasingly difficult to separate the facts from the fiction when it came to crop circles. The theories had proliferated, the hoaxes had multiplied, and the number of unanswered questions seemed to grow by the day. However, one thing was certain. Crop circles weren't just going away. They were here to stay, and their allure only deepened. So, in this next chapter, let's explore one of the most intriguing aspects of crop circles, their complex mathematics and geometry. By the early 21st century, crop circles had evolved to the point where they seemed to defy simple explanations. Their designs were no longer just circles or basic patterns. Now, they featured intricate geometrical shapes that appeared to require a level of precision and planning that seemed beyond the capabilities of even the most skilled human hoaxers. Geometrical shapes such as fractals, mandalas, and even representations of the Fibonacci sequence began appearing in the fields, leading many to question whether the complexity of these patterns could be the result of natural forces or human intervention. One of the key reasons why crop circles became such a source of fascination for mathematicians and scientists was their geometric precision. Unlike random patterns created by wind, animals, or machinery, crop circles often followed exact mathematical principles. The complexity of some formations was truly staggering. Designs appeared to mirror sacred geometry, fractals, and the golden ratio, all of which are foundational elements in mathematics and nature. For example, certain crop formations seem to mirror the spiral patterns found in galaxies, shells, and even human DNA, sparking questions about whether there was some deeper underlying connection between the formations and the natural world. The relationship between crop circles and mathematics became so prominent that mathematicians and physicists began investigating the phenomenon, trying to understand the principles behind the designs. In 1990, the British mathematician and crop circle researcher, Dr. Michael Glickman, became one of the most prominent figures in the field. He pointed out that many crop circles appeared to be based on the principles of sacred geometry, which involves geometric patterns believed to hold spiritual significance. These patterns were said to represent the fundamental structure of the universe itself. In particular, Glickman was fascinated by the way the crop circles seemed to follow the Fibonacci sequence, a series of numbers that appears throughout nature, from the arrangement of leaves on a stem to the spirals in seashells and hurricanes. The Fibonacci sequence, for those who may not be familiar, is a series of numbers in which each number is the sum of the two preceding ones, starting from 0. The sequence looks like this: 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, and so on. In nature, the Fibonacci sequence can be found in the growth patterns of plants, the arrangement of seeds in a sunflower, and the spiral patterns in shells. The fact that certain crop circles seemed to mirror these natural forms was enough to spark fascination among both mathematicians and the public at large. But was this connection to sacred geometry and the Fibonacci sequence proof that crop circles were the result of something beyond human understanding? Or could it be that the hoaxers had simply studied these mathematical principles in depth, using their knowledge to create increasingly sophisticated designs? Critics of the idea that crop circles were created by aliens or unknown forces pointed out that many of the designs could be replicated by skilled hoaxers who had a deep understanding of geometry and mathematics. And indeed, many of the crop circle patterns appeared to follow recognizable geometric shapes, such as pentagons, hexagons, and spirals, all of which can be constructed using basic tools like ropes, planks, and string. Yet, despite these criticisms, there were still crop circle formations that seemed to defy easy explanation. Some of the designs were so intricate, so precise, that it was difficult to believe that even the most dedicated hoaxers could have created them without some sort of advanced technology. In particular, some crop circles featured perfect geometric shapes and proportions that seemed impossible to reproduce without the use of tools or machinery that could create such exact measurements. In addition to the geometrical complexity, there was another puzzling aspect of crop circles that caught the attention of scientists: the physical condition of the crops. In many cases, researchers noted that the plants in the center of the crop circles appeared to be bent in unnatural ways. Some plants seemed to be bent at nearly 90-degree angles without breaking, while others appeared to have been subjected to intense heat or pressure. This raised the question: could something like electromagnetic radiation or microwave energy be responsible for the bending of the crops? While no conclusive evidence was ever found to support these theories, it was clear that the crops in many crop circles exhibited physical properties that were difficult to explain. As these complex geometries and strange crop behaviors continued to surface, scientists became more interested in studying the phenomenon. Physicists, mathematicians, and biologists began visiting crop circle sites, attempting to analyze the physical properties of the formations and figure out whether there was any way they could be replicated using natural forces alone. However, despite their best efforts, no one could explain the designs fully, and the mystery of crop circles seemed as elusive as ever. Historians still argue whether the increasing complexity of crop circles in the 1990s and 2000s was simply the result of increasingly skilled human hoaxers, or if there was a deeper mystery at play. Some believe that the mathematical precision of the formations is evidence of an unknown force or intelligence, while others remain convinced that crop circles are nothing more than elaborate works of art created by human hands. What is undeniable, however, is that the intricate geometry of crop circles has captivated people for decades, sparking not only academic inquiry, but also inspiring a sense of wonder and awe in those who study them. With the mysteries of crop circles deepening in the 1990s and early 2000s, a new wave of documentation began to flood the scene. The sheer complexity of the formations made them impossible to ignore, and photographers, amateur investigators, and even documentarians flocked to the fields to capture images and footage. This era marked the beginning of a new phase in the crop circle saga, one where the phenomenon was not just studied scientifically, but also showcased to the world in a way that ensured its place in modern media culture. During this time, the popularity of crop circles surged to new heights. Documentaries, books, and television specials began to explore the phenomenon, featuring theories ranging from the extraterrestrial to the supernatural. One of the most famous documentary films, The Crop Circles: Mystery of the Sacred Geometry, 2002, explored the phenomenon in detail, highlighting some of the most intricate formations and presenting interviews with both believers and skeptics. It was around this time that crop circles truly became a part of pop culture, appearing in movies, TV shows, and music videos. The fascination with these enigmatic designs had transcended the academic world and had taken root in the broader cultural imagination. But it wasn't just about the media. People from all over the world were now involved in documenting crop circles, from local farmers to professional investigators. As the phenomenon spread beyond southern England, crop circles began appearing in other countries, including the United States, Canada, Australia, and even Japan. Some of these international crop circles were identical in complexity to those seen in England, which only fueled the belief that the phenomenon was global and perhaps connected to something beyond human reach. However, there was one significant development that occurred in the 1990s that forever changed the way crop circles would be perceived: the emergence of digital photography. As high-quality cameras became more accessible, it became easier for anyone to document crop circles in high resolution. This shift in technology allowed for a new level of detail in the images, which was particularly important given the intricacy of the formations. Suddenly, crop circles were not just blurry photographs captured from afar. They were sharp, close-up images that revealed every detail of the design. These clear photographs added to the debate about the authenticity of crop circles. While some argued that the clarity of the images proved the phenomenon's supernatural or extraterrestrial nature, others pointed to the ease with which they could be hoaxed. In the case of the hoaxers, digital technology itself became a tool for creating more convincing, lifelike crop circles. As more hoaxers began to embrace digital technology, they began using 3D modeling software and other advanced tools to design even more intricate formations. These digital models could then be replicated in the fields, adding an extra layer of deception to the mix. Yet, even with the rise of digital technology, the mystery of crop circles persisted. The sheer scale of some formations made it difficult for even the most advanced hoaxers to replicate them convincingly. In many cases, crop circles were so large and intricate that it would take multiple people working overnight to create them if they were indeed man-made. Some formations were found in remote locations, far from any human habitation, adding fuel to the idea that the designs could not have been made by hoaxers or pranksters. While the debate over the origins of crop circles raged on, the presence of clear photographic evidence allowed for more in-depth analysis. Photographers began to capture detailed shots of the crops themselves, and researchers took note of the physical effects on the plants. Some of the most perplexing findings were related to the crop's physical alterations. As mentioned earlier, the plants inside many crop circles appeared to have been bent at nearly perfect right angles. In some cases, the plants showed signs of intense heat or radiation, as if they had been subjected to an energy source far beyond what natural forces could create. In 2000, the scientific community took another step toward investigating crop circles with the establishment of the Scientific Crop Circle Research Group. This group, composed of physicists, biologists, and agricultural experts, sought to unravel the physical phenomena surrounding crop circles. One of their most significant studies was conducted in the UK, where researchers found that some crop formations had left behind unusual magnetic anomalies. These anomalies were measured as stronger than the surrounding area, suggesting that the crops had been subjected to an unknown source of energy. This discovery only deepened the mystery and led to more questions than answers. Despite the intense interest in scientific inquiry, no clear explanation ever emerged for the phenomena. Some believe that the magnetic anomalies were simply the result of a natural or environmental event, such as a storm or solar activity. Others remained convinced that the circles were the work of a more mysterious force, possibly even extraterrestrial. The electromagnetic readings, however, presented a curious challenge to the belief that crop circles were purely man-made, leaving scientists scratching their heads in search of a logical explanation. Even though crop circles had become an increasingly global phenomenon, appearing in countries as distant as the United States and Australia, England remained the epicenter of the phenomenon. In particular, the Wiltshire region of southern England became known as the crop circle capital of the world. The county, with its picturesque landscapes and ancient landmarks, was home to some of the most elaborate and well-documented crop circles in history. People from all over the world flocked to Wiltshire each summer, hoping to catch a glimpse of the mysterious formations and perhaps solve the puzzle once and for all. Despite the growing body of evidence, the crop circle mystery remains, in many ways, just that, a mystery. There is no clear answer as to whether the formations are the work of aliens, natural forces, or skilled human hoaxers. Historians still argue whether the phenomenon is an ancient, ongoing mystery or a relatively recent development fueled by media and public fascination. And yet, the puzzle endures. As new formations continue to appear and new theories emerge to explain them, crop circles remain one of the most enduring and perplexing mysteries of our time. As the mystery of crop circles persisted into the 2000s, the phenomenon entered a new phase, where technology, media, and popular culture converged to further entrench the enigma in the public psyche. However, what was perhaps most intriguing about this new era was the ongoing scientific investigation and the rise of the internet as a tool for both sharing information and fueling speculation. At the same time, the connection between crop circles and the environment began to take center stage, as researchers increasingly began to tie the phenomenon to changes in the landscape and climate. But did this link truly reveal anything new, or was it just another way to complicate the already mystifying issue? By the 2000s, crop circles were no longer confined to the rural fields of southern England. As the media spread the word, crop formations started popping up across the globe, with reports from the United States, Australia, Europe, and even Asia. But despite the widespread occurrence of crop circles, England's Wiltshire region continued to be the hotspot for crop circle formations. This area, with its lush farmland and ancient stone circles like Stonehenge, became almost synonymous with the mystery, drawing crop circle enthusiasts, scientists, and tourists alike. The formation of crop circles in this particular region only fueled theories that the designs were connected to the ancient spiritual significance of the land itself. Environmental concerns started becoming increasingly relevant when researchers began linking crop circles to changes in the climate and landscape. It was clear that certain crop formations were being discovered in fields that were being used more intensively for agriculture. The rise of commercial farming methods in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, such as the use of pesticides, genetically modified crops, and monoculture farming, began to have a noticeable impact on the landscape. These environmental changes, some argued, could have created the perfect conditions for crop circles to emerge. The rapid development of these farming techniques, combined with the increased use of machinery, made it easier for hoaxers to create more complex designs. But at the same time, it opened up the possibility that the landscape itself, perhaps combined with new technologies, was playing a role in the formation of these strange patterns. This raised the question, was there a hidden connection between crop circles and the shifting environmental conditions? Could it be that the unusual electromagnetic effects and physical alterations in crops that were documented in many crop circle formations had something to do with environmental changes caused by modern farming techniques? Some researchers began to speculate that the interaction between the electromagnetic fields of modern machinery and the crops might have contributed to the strange effects seen in crop circles. The idea that crop circles could be the result of a sort of ecological anomaly gained traction among some environmental scientists. As the scientific community became more involved in investigating crop circles, a growing number of studies and reports examined the physical conditions surrounding the formations. Researchers took soil samples from the center of crop circles, often finding differences in the chemical composition compared to the surrounding area. Some studies indicated that the soil had higher concentrations of certain minerals, such as potassium and calcium, while other studies found that the soil was more acidic. These findings suggested that something unusual was occurring at the sites of crop circles, though whether this was due to natural environmental factors or an unknown external force remained an open question. Moreover, as the technological advancements of the 2000s brought with them more sophisticated tools for investigation, the physical effects on the crops themselves began to take center stage. Plants found inside crop circles were sometimes discovered to be bent at odd angles without breaking, which led some scientists to speculate that high-energy sources like microwave radiation might have caused the bending. Others suggested that it was possible that some unknown force was applying pressure to the plants, causing them to bend but not snap. Whether or not this theory was valid, it contributed to the growing list of questions that scientists and the public alike were grappling with. As the years went on, the increasing use of satellite imagery and drone photography added new layers to the investigation. Researchers could now observe crop circles from above, providing a broader perspective on the formations. With these new tools, crop circle investigators could document the size and complexity of formations with unprecedented precision. In particular, the rise of drones meant that crop circle formations could now be filmed in high resolution from multiple angles. These aerial shots often revealed the true scope of the designs, which were sometimes so large that it was nearly impossible to grasp their full scale from the ground. In this modern age of technology and media, the debate over crop circles intensified. With the rise of social media platforms and video sharing sites like YouTube, the phenomenon found new ways to spread, giving both hoaxers and researchers a global platform. People from around the world began to share photos and videos of crop circles as soon as they were discovered, further fueling public curiosity. Some people set out to debunk crop circles with their own videos, while others posted explanations based on their personal beliefs about the phenomenon. The internet became both a source of information and misinformation, where theories were developed and spread faster than ever before. Despite the overwhelming attention and investigation, no consensus has ever been reached on the origins of crop circles. While some researchers insist that they are the result of human hoaxes, others maintain that there is something more to them than meets the eye. For every theory, there is a counter-theory, and for every discovery, there is an opposing interpretation. But the questions keep coming, and the mystery persists. Historians still argue over whether crop circles are a recent phenomenon, or whether they have existed for centuries, hidden in plain sight. The increasing use of technology, combined with the growing interest in environmental and ecological factors, has certainly added new layers of complexity to the story. Yet despite all the technological advances, crop circles remain as enigmatic as ever, continuing to capture the imagination of the public. Whether they are the work of hoaxers, a natural phenomenon, or something else entirely, the mystery of crop circles endures, an unsolved puzzle that keeps drawing people in. As we step further into the digital age, the rise of social media and online platforms brought a new kind of fascination with crop circles. No longer confined to the physical fields and the occasional documentary on TV, crop circles became a viral sensation, flooding the internet with images, videos, and an endless stream of theories. In the early 2010s, platforms like YouTube and Instagram allowed people to instantly share their encounters with crop circles, taking the mystery to a global scale and making it more accessible than ever before. These online discussions weren't limited to enthusiasts or scientists. Ordinary people could now share their theories, personal experiences, and skepticism in real time. But this new wave of digital engagement brought its own challenges, especially in the way people began to question the authenticity of every new crop formation. The democratization of information via social media meant that virtually anyone with a camera could contribute to the narrative. This blurred the lines between legitimate investigation and hoax. Crop circles no longer had to be witnessed by professionals to be taken seriously. They could be uploaded by anyone, anywhere, and often the public's curiosity overwhelmed rational skepticism. It was as if the digital age had ushered in a new era where the phenomenon wasn't just about physical fields anymore. It was now a global spectacle, unfolding in real time on screens around the world. A key feature of this digital crop circle frenzy was the explosion of DIY investigations and videos. YouTube, in particular, became a hotspot for crop circle enthusiasts who shared their experiences with these mysterious formations, often in the form of walkthroughs, interviews, or attempts to unravel the truth behind the phenomena. You could find countless videos where people would walk through fields documenting crop circles, discussing the intricate geometry of the formations, and speculating about their origins. Some of these videos highlighted strange electromagnetic anomalies, while others took a more skeptical approach, proposing various mundane explanations like human pranks or weather-related phenomena. As more and more people jumped on the bandwagon, the sheer volume of amateur investigators made it more challenging to distinguish between genuine findings and elaborate hoaxes. The quality of videos and images continued to improve, leading to more convincing and sometimes downright bizarre footage. For example, in 2016, a viral video surfaced showing a supposed crop circle forming in real time, with swirling lights above the field and strange, pulsating energy emanating from the crop. While some viewers were captivated by this footage and touted it as proof of extraterrestrial involvement, others were quick to point out that it was likely fabricated using special effects. This video, like many before it, added fuel to the already blazing fire of debate. The rise of online discussion groups and forums also played a significant role in shaping the perception of crop circles. These communities provided a platform for enthusiasts to connect, share theories, and post updates about new sightings. Sites dedicated to crop circle research allowed individuals to engage in detailed conversations about crop circle designs, from their mathematical precision to their potential symbolism. Some forums even delved deep into the idea that crop circles were created by secret societies or ancient civilizations, rather than just modern-day hoaxers or aliens. But not all online discussions about crop circles were dedicated to exploring their mysteries. In fact, the internet also became a place for debunking the phenomenon, where skeptics took the opportunity to challenge the legitimacy of the formations. Websites like the Crop Circle Connector, which had originally served as an archive of crop circle reports, began to show signs of increased skepticism as the years went on. This platform, which once focused solely on documenting crop formations, now included a more critical perspective, highlighting hoaxes and providing explanations for how crop circles could be made by humans. The increasing number of hoaxers who confessed to creating crop circles, coupled with the rise of digital manipulation tools, meant that even the most impressive formations could be dismissed as mere tricks of the trade. Despite these challenges, crop circles remained captivating to millions of people around the world, primarily because of the very mystery that surrounded them. Even as many hoaxers confessed to their involvement and scientific explanations were proposed, there was still something deeply compelling about these enigmatic designs. They invoked a sense of wonder, a desire to understand something that appeared both of this world and beyond it, and perhaps, most importantly, they filled the public's need for an unresolved mystery. Crop circles were not just about what was on the ground, they were a symbol of the unknown, a reminder that the world still held secrets we might never fully understand. In the digital age, the sheer accessibility of crop circle images and videos created an environment where these formations could evolve in real time. New designs seemed to appear overnight, giving way to the belief that perhaps the phenomenon was far more widespread than anyone had realized. But as crop circles continued to crop up across the globe, a sense of disillusionment also began to take hold. People started questioning if they had been duped by elaborate hoaxes or, conversely, whether they had been too eager to believe in extraterrestrial involvement. With the explosion of digital content surrounding crop circles came the inevitable rise of conspiracy theories. Social media platforms were filled with individuals who speculated about the deeper, hidden meanings of the patterns, offering interpretations that ranged from spiritual enlightenment to apocalyptic warnings. One of the more outlandish theories suggested that crop circles were coded messages from extraterrestrial beings, foretelling some sort of cosmic event. Others believed that the patterns were a form of communication from higher dimensional entities, warning humanity about an impending global crisis. While these ideas remained firmly within the realm of pseudoscience, they nonetheless captured the public imagination, proving that the mystery of crop circles could always find new ways to stay alive in the collective consciousness. Despite the growing skepticism and increasing exposure of hoaxes, there was still a subset of individuals who held firm in their belief that crop circles were a genuine mystery, one that, perhaps, could never be fully explained. Historians still argue whether these phenomena are part of a long-standing tradition or a modern-day creation fueled by mass media and the rise of digital technology. Whether it's a result of human creativity, alien intelligence, or environmental anomalies, crop circles remain one of the most captivating and enduring mysteries of the modern age. As we move deeper into the 2010s and beyond, the intrigue surrounding crop circles shows no sign of waning, despite the increasing explanations offered by both skeptics and proponents. One particularly fascinating aspect of crop circles is how they continue to evolve in both complexity and scale, while still drawing attention to the age-old question, what's really behind them? As new formations appeared on the global stage, the online discussions and social media buzz around these mysterious patterns grew louder, but so did the voices calling for a more grounded scientific approach to the mystery. The 2010s were marked by a growing awareness of the role that the internet played in both perpetuating and unraveling the mystery of crop circles. No longer just an eccentric hobby for a niche group of enthusiasts, the phenomenon had become a cultural fixture, one that could be accessed and analyzed in real time by anyone with a camera and an internet connection. People shared photographs, drone footage, and video clips across various platforms, leading to immediate global exposure. What was once a phenomenon that may have been limited to rural areas or agricultural communities had now become a worldwide topic of conversation. However, with the increase in content also came the increased risk of misinformation, and the line between genuine crop circles and clever hoaxes blurred even further. This digital explosion made it even more difficult to separate fact from fiction. With high-definition cameras and drone footage readily available, skeptics and believers alike could analyze every angle of each new formation. While some viewed this as a golden opportunity to debunk the phenomenon and prove that crop circles were, indeed, a product of hoaxers, others saw the growing body of evidence as further confirmation that there was something more going on, perhaps even something beyond human understanding. The difficulty of telling a hoax from a legitimate formation created a sort of perpetual loop of speculation, where new discoveries only added to the confusion. Interestingly, in the midst of this digital age, crop circles also found a renewed place in the world of science fiction and entertainment. Movies, TV shows, and books continue to integrate crop circles into their narratives, often using them as symbols of extraterrestrial contact or otherworldly phenomena. Perhaps most notably, the hit show Stranger Things 2016 revived the connection between crop circles and alien contact, embedding them into the storyline as part of the mystery. This mainstream integration kept the crop circle mystery relevant in the cultural zeitgeist, ensuring that the phenomenon remained a part of both speculative fiction and scientific debate. However, as crop circles gained more attention in pop culture, they also began to take on a symbolic role. In many ways, crop circles became the physical manifestation of the unknown, the unexplained, and the mysterious. While some viewed them as a symbol of alien intelligence or messages from higher dimensional beings, others saw them as a reflection of humanity's search for meaning in an increasingly complex world. Whether as part of conspiracy theories, New Age beliefs, or pop culture, crop circles represented humanity's perpetual desire to search for answers in a universe that often feels just out of reach. In addition to their symbolic importance, crop circles also sparked interest in the potential ecological factors that might be at play. As agricultural practices continued to evolve, there was growing speculation about whether modern farming techniques could influence the occurrence of crop formations. Could the use of genetically modified crops, pesticides, and intensive farming methods be affecting the way crops respond to environmental stimuli? Some researchers posited that crop circles might be the result of interactions between electromagnetic fields from nearby machinery or changes in the magnetic properties of the earth, which could be affecting the way crops grow and bend. These theories, while not universally accepted, offered a more grounded explanation for the phenomenon, linking crop circles to the very real world of agriculture and environmental science. Despite these more scientific explanations, the idea that crop circles were the work of aliens or supernatural forces has never fully dissipated. As a result, crop circles continue to be both a subject of scientific study and a cultural icon, simultaneously offering potential insights into the natural world and sparking endless speculation about what they might truly represent. In this sense, the phenomenon has become as much about the human need to understand the unknown as it is about the mystery itself. Throughout all of this, the phenomenon remains open to interpretation. On one hand, crop circles have undeniably been the product of human hoaxers and artists, a form of modern folk art designed to confound and amuse. On the other hand, they still maintain an aura of mystery, one that has yet to be fully explained despite decades of investigation. The ongoing dialogue between skeptics and believers continues to fuel interest in crop circles, and as new formations appear, the cycle of curiosity and debate will likely persist. One of the most enduring aspects of crop circles is their ability to spark public imagination. Whether people believe in aliens, natural forces, or simply enjoy the puzzle of it all, crop circles remain a subject of global fascination. They represent something deeper, a yearning for answers, a desire to understand what is beyond our grasp, and an acknowledgement that some mysteries may never be solved. In a world where so much can be explained through science, technology, and logic, crop circles stand as a reminder of the vast unknown, an enigmatic reminder that there are still questions left to ponder, even if they may never be fully answered. As the years continue to pass and new crop circles are discovered, the mystery of their origins will likely persist. Perhaps that is part of their appeal, the lack of closure, the uncertainty, the unanswered questions. And in a world that often craves certainty, maybe the true allure of crop circles is in the mystery itself, a mystery that will continue to captivate the imagination for years to come. As we step into the present day, the crop circle phenomenon continues to evolve. In the years since the 2010s, we have seen a rise in both skepticism and fascination with crop circles. The digital age, with its vast repository of information and instant sharing capabilities, has allowed people across the globe to engage in the mystery. However, it has also led to a saturation of the phenomenon, with many questioning if crop circles are simply the result of an elaborate social experiment, modern folklore, or something more profound. Despite the technological advancements and increasing explanations, crop circles remain an enigma, offering both an opportunity for scientific inquiry and a canvas for cultural symbolism. One of the more surprising developments in recent years has been the resurgence of interest in crop circles within the realm of environmentalism. As climate change continues to dominate global conversations, some proponents of crop circle theories have drawn connections between the appearance of these formations and environmental shifts. They suggest that crop circles might be a response to the ecological imbalances that humans have created through deforestation, industrial farming, and pollution. Some theorists even argue that the patterns are a kind of natural warning or a form of Earth communication, signaling the planet's distress as humanity continues to alter its landscape. This environmental theory ties crop circles into a larger narrative of ecological consciousness. It's not just about mysterious shapes in fields anymore. It's about seeing crop circles as symbolic representations of the Earth's cry for help. Could crop circles be a warning, perhaps created by an intelligence beyond our own, urging us to change our ways before it's too late? It's a thought-provoking theory, one that touches on larger questions about humanity's relationship with the planet, our role in the ecosystem, and how we may be contributing to our own downfall. This concept of crop circles as environmental symbols is more speculative than scientifically grounded, but it taps into the growing cultural fascination with sustainability and ecological balance. It connects the mystery of crop circles to the very real concerns that people have about the environment, creating a bridge between the unknown and the urgent need for action. After all, crop circles are not just a product of human culture. They are found in the fields, in the very ground we depend on for survival. If crop circles are somehow connected to environmental changes, it suggests that the earth itself might be sending a message, one that humanity can't afford to ignore. In contrast, many researchers and scientists still approach crop circles with the view that they are largely man-made phenomena, with human hoaxers being responsible for the vast majority of formations. The rise of circle makers, individuals who have openly confessed to creating crop circles, has provided evidence for those who believe the formations are part of a sophisticated prank or art movement. Some of these hoaxers have even turned their activities into a form of performance art, designing increasingly intricate crop patterns in the dead of night, using basic tools such as ropes, planks, and string. Though some skeptics argue that crop circles are an elaborate joke, the persistent mystery of their origins still draws attention from those who want to uncover the true nature of the phenomenon. What keeps the debate alive is the sheer number of unexplained and increasingly complex formations that continue to appear, often in places where hoaxers would have a difficult time accessing or creating them. The question remains, are some of these crop circles simply too intricate and mathematically precise to be the result of human activity? And if so, what does that imply? On the other hand, it's important to note that even in the face of admissions of hoaxes and debunking, there remains a cultural fascination with the unexplained. Despite the fact that many crop circles can now be attributed to hoaxers, the idea that there is still some larger unknown force at play continues to captivate people. The symbolism of crop circles, from their geometric beauty to their associations with alien or supernatural forces, allows them to exist in a space that is both literal and metaphorical. They are the physical manifestation of humanity's need for mystery, a reminder that not everything in life can be easily explained. Interestingly, crop circles have also evolved into a kind of global phenomenon that has outgrown its original context. While they began as rural oddities in southern England, crop circles are now a subject of fascination in countries all over the world. Australia, Japan, the United States, and even India have reported crop circles appearing in their fields. With the increasing globalization of the phenomenon, crop circles have become a kind of global language of mystery. People across the world, from different cultures and backgrounds, all look to these strange formations with a shared sense of wonder and curiosity. The global nature of the crop circle phenomenon is a testament to its universal appeal, a phenomenon that crosses borders and transcends language, culture, and even scientific explanation. For some, crop circles have become a form of modern folklore, with stories of strange occurrences, UFO sightings, and encounters with unknown forces passing from person to person. They serve as a reminder of humanity's collective need for mystery, for stories that can't easily be explained. In a world where scientific advancements have made many mysteries feel solvable, crop circles remain a tantalizing reminder that some questions may never be fully answered. It's the very mystery of crop circles that continues to draw people in, generation after generation. While the true origins of crop circles remain as elusive as ever, the mystery continues to inspire both awe and skepticism in equal measure. Whether viewed as a product of extraterrestrial intelligence, a natural phenomenon, or a form of human art, crop circles remain one of the most enduring and fascinating mysteries of our time. What's certain is that their allure shows no sign of fading. In a world that is constantly changing and evolving, crop circles stand as a testament to the human need for wonder, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming knowledge, the unknown still holds a special place in our hearts. As we enter the more recent years, the crop circle phenomenon continues to be a subject of intrigue, mystery, and occasional controversy. The increased technological sophistication of modern tools, like drones and satellite imagery, has only added new layers of depth to both the documentation and the analysis of crop formations. However, this technology has also raised questions about the authenticity of these formations. The advent of digital tools has allowed not only for more detailed and accurate photography, but also for the manipulation of these tools to create convincing hoaxes. The lines between reality and digital manipulation have become increasingly difficult to decipher, especially when it comes to crop circles, leading to even more debate over their true origins. The rise of drones in particular has made it possible to capture crop circles from angles that were previously difficult or impossible to access. Drone photography has provided a bird's-eye view of crop circles, revealing the full scope of the intricate designs. These aerial shots have become a key part of crop circle documentation, offering clearer views of the shapes and allowing researchers to study the geometry and patterns in ways that were not previously possible. Some of the formations, particularly the larger and more complex ones, are best appreciated from above, where the scale and precision of the patterns are most apparent. But the increased availability of drone footage has also created an additional layer of scrutiny, with some hoaxers now using drones and advanced tools to create even more complex formations. It's harder than ever to determine which crop circles are the result of human creativity and which remain unexplainable. The availability of satellite imagery has also contributed to the study of crop circles. In many cases, these high-resolution images allow researchers to document crop formations almost in real time. Satellite imagery has provided more precise data on crop circles, helping to create a better understanding of the size, shape, and layout of the designs. The use of satellites to monitor crop circle appearances also allows for the tracking of patterns over time, revealing the frequency and spread of these formations. This technological development has opened new doors for research into the phenomenon, but it has also raised the question, as our tools for documenting crop circles improve, does it make it easier for hoaxers to perpetuate the mystery, or harder for the true origins to be discovered? Yet, with all the technological advances and the flood of online content, one thing remains clear: crop circles still evoke a sense of awe and fascination. They persist as one of the most persistent and tantalizing mysteries in modern history. Whether created by humans, aliens, or some other unknown force, crop circles continue to inspire creativity and intrigue. In fact, as technology has evolved, so too have the theories surrounding the phenomenon, with new interpretations and explanations emerging with each new formation. The adaptability of the crop circle mystery, along with the wealth of resources available for analyzing it, has ensured that the phenomenon remains relevant in an ever-changing world. One fascinating aspect of this ongoing phenomenon is the connection between crop circles and the way they are represented in popular culture. Over the years, crop circles have become iconic symbols of mystery, often serving as a shorthand for extraterrestrial or paranormal activity. From movies like Signs, 2002, to TV shows like The X-Files, crop circles have played a central role in narratives about alien encounters and strange occurrences. This portrayal in the media has reinforced the belief that crop circles are not merely an agricultural anomaly, but part of a larger, otherworldly narrative. The integration of crop circles into pop culture has further solidified their place in the collective consciousness, fueling ongoing discussions about their origin. In a sense, the portrayal of crop circles in media may have influenced how people interpret and interact with them. Are they merely the work of hoaxers, or are they a sign of something greater? Whether seen as a warning from extraterrestrials or a symbol of deeper, more metaphysical forces, crop circles have come to represent more than just agricultural oddities. They have become emblematic of humanity's desire to understand the unknown, to grasp at the intangible, and to seek answers in a world full of questions. Despite the numerous hoax confessions and the rise of digital technology that has made it easier to create convincing crop circle designs, there remains a portion of the public that still holds on to the belief that the phenomenon is not entirely explainable. For many, the ongoing mystery of crop circles speaks to the human fascination with the unknown, the idea that some things in life are not meant to be understood, whether it's a message from aliens, a signal from the earth itself, or an artistic statement made in the dead of night. Crop circles continue to draw attention to our collective desire for something beyond the everyday, the ordinary, and the explainable. Historians, scientists, and skeptics may continue to debate the true origin of crop circles, but what remains undeniable is their cultural significance. They have become symbols of a mystery that refuses to be solved, no matter how much evidence to the contrary may arise. And perhaps this is why the phenomenon remains so captivating. It's not about finding the answer, but about keeping the mystery alive. In the end, crop circles will continue to be a part of our collective consciousness, fueling imagination, stirring curiosity, and reminding us that sometimes the questions themselves are more important than the answers. As we continue into the 20s, crop circles remain a peculiar enigma, one that refuses to be fully explained despite decades of investigation, technological advances, and increased scrutiny. The phenomenon, though subject to frequent hoax, confessions, and scientific attempts to explain it, still manages to captivate the imagination. The sheer persistence of the mystery, coupled with the growing body of evidence for both human and natural origins, adds a layer of complexity to what could otherwise be dismissed as a passing trend. In many ways, crop circles have transcended their original agricultural context, becoming a cultural icon, a modern-day puzzle that is as much about the questions it raises as it is about the formations themselves. One of the more striking developments of recent years has been the growing trend of crop circles being considered through the lens of art. While their original appearance in the late 20th century was largely framed as a mystery or a symbol of alien contact, a new generation of artists has begun to embrace crop circles as a medium for creative expression. Crop circles, with their intricate geometric patterns and large-scale designs, have found a place in contemporary art, with artists taking inspiration from the phenomenon's symmetry and visual appeal. As these art forms evolve, the question of whether crop circles are truly a form of creative expression or simply elaborate hoaxes designed to baffle the public becomes more nuanced. Artists who work with nature, particularly those who manipulate land and crops, often claim that the patterns and designs they create are an exploration of beauty, symmetry, and the relationship between humans and the earth. In this sense, crop circles can be viewed as a kind of performance art, albeit one that blurs the lines between nature and human intervention. For some, the creation of crop circles is less about the mystery or the hoax, and more about the ability to create something awe-inspiring and thought-provoking in the natural world. But even as crop circles have found their place in the art world, they continue to spark debate about their origins and their significance. While hoaxers have created their own impressive designs, often using tools like planks and ropes, the more intricate and mathematically precise crop circles still raise questions. Could such intricate patterns be the result of mere human ingenuity, or do they suggest a more profound source, one beyond our current understanding? The line between art and hoax becomes increasingly difficult to define, especially when the designs are so precise and symmetrical that they often appear beyond the capability of even the most skilled human artists. The continued allure of crop circles also persists in the realm of speculative theories. As new formations emerge, some still argue that crop circles are not simply products of human creativity, but are instead symbols of a higher intelligence, possibly extraterrestrial in origin. These theories continue to attract attention from UFO enthusiasts, paranormal researchers, and conspiracy theorists, many of whom believe that crop circles represent a form of communication from beings far more advanced than humanity. The patterns, some argue, may hold a secret message, a warning, a prophecy, or an invitation to engage in some form of cosmic dialogue. While such theories remain speculative at best, they continue to give crop circles an air of mystery and importance far beyond their physical presence in the fields. The resurgence of interest in these theories has been bolstered by social media platforms and online communities that thrive on sharing and interpreting crop circle phenomena. Instagram, Reddit, and YouTube have become essential tools for those who want to stay updated on the latest formations, while simultaneously offering a platform for people to share their personal interpretations. The democratization of information in the digital age has allowed for new avenues of engagement with the crop circle phenomenon, enabling people from across the globe to not only witness new discoveries, but to speculate about their meaning and origin. This digital age also presents the challenge of distinguishing between genuine crop circles and digitally created images. With sophisticated editing tools like Photoshop and video manipulation software becoming more accessible, it's increasingly difficult to discern between real formations and ones fabricated for the sake of attention or mischief. This digital landscape has turned crop circles into something of a phantom phenomenon, a mystery that can now be as easily created as it can be documented, making it harder to know what is real and what is not. In addition to these online discussions, the role of crop circles in the larger cultural landscape continues to evolve. They have become part of the broader conversation about human interaction with nature and the unknown. As climate change and environmental degradation become increasingly pressing global issues, crop circles have taken on a new symbolic role, often being interpreted as a response to the growing ecological crisis. Some theorists, as mentioned earlier, believe that crop circles are not only signs from extraterrestrials, but also from the Earth itself, perhaps trying to communicate the urgency of environmental preservation. This concept ties the crop circle mystery to contemporary concerns about humanity's impact on the planet, adding another layer of meaning to the phenomenon. Despite this symbolic shift, the question of crop circle origins remains as complex as ever. Whether created by hoaxers, aliens, or the natural world, crop circles continue to evoke both wonder and skepticism. Theories abound, but none can fully explain the intricacies of the phenomenon, and with each new discovery, the mystery only deepens. The world is now faced with an interesting paradox. Crop circles are no longer just agricultural anomalies or even simple hoaxes. They have become a global cultural touchstone, imbued with meaning that transcends their original context. Perhaps, in the end, crop circles are not meant to be fully explained. Like many great mysteries, they exist to inspire curiosity, creativity, and imagination. They are the perfect symbol of the unknown, something that defies easy understanding, forcing us to confront our own desire for answers while reminding us of the vastness of what we have yet to learn. And as long as crop circles continue to appear in fields, appearing without warning and defying explanation, they will undoubtedly continue to captivate the human imagination, offering a window into the mysteries of our world and beyond. As we enter the latter years of the 2020s, crop circles remain as much a part of the global cultural fabric as they were in previous decades. The persistence of the mystery has ensured that the phenomenon continues to evolve in surprising ways, with new theories, new sightings, and new interpretations regularly emerging. What was once primarily a rural curiosity in southern England has expanded into an internationally recognized phenomenon, one that sparks debate, inspires art, and raises profound questions about the nature of human perception and the world around us. One of the more fascinating developments of the last few years is the continued convergence of crop circles with the idea of collective consciousness. More than ever before, people are interpreting crop circles not just as physical phenomena, but as part of a larger psychological or spiritual landscape. These interpretations often lean into the idea that the patterns represent some form of communication, a language beyond words, one that speaks directly to our subconscious. The complexity of the designs, which often appear far too intricate to be explained by natural forces or simple human trickery, leads some to propose that crop circles may be messages from the universe, or even reflections of humanity's own collective mind. This growing narrative surrounding crop circles presents them as not just enigmatic, but also profoundly symbolic, urging us to look beyond the material and into the realm of the metaphysical. In recent years, crop circles have also been tied to global spiritual movements, some of which view the patterns as a form of cosmic alignment or even a sign of impending spiritual transformation. These spiritual interpretations often draw from the idea of sacred geometry, a belief system that suggests certain geometric patterns, like those found in crop circles, hold a deeper spiritual or cosmic significance. Followers of this belief system view crop circles as a form of divine art, reflecting the universe's underlying order and harmony. Some even see the formations as portals or gateways to higher dimensions, and many enthusiasts now journey to the sites of crop circles as part of a spiritual pilgrimage, seeking enlightenment or connection to the greater universe. The rise of this spiritual angle has also given crop circles a deeper, more philosophical role in society. They have become more than just a mystery to be solved or a scientific puzzle to crack. They have become symbols of our collective yearning for something more, a reflection of our desire for transcendence in a world increasingly defined by technological and material pursuits. Crop circles, in this view, are not only about the shapes they create in the fields, but about the questions they raise in our minds, forcing us to confront the unknown and challenge our understanding of reality itself. Yet, even as crop circles are embraced by these spiritual movements, the scientific community has continued its attempts to explain the phenomenon through empirical means. While the popularity of theories involving extraterrestrials or paranormal forces may have waned in recent years, crop circles remain a focal point of scientific curiosity, particularly in the fields of physics, geology, and environmental science. Many researchers continue to study crop circles as a unique environmental phenomenon, with a focus on the effects they have on the plants, the soil, and the surrounding environment. In particular, the investigation of electromagnetic anomalies associated with crop circles has sparked renewed interest in their potential connection to natural or even unknown energy sources. Some scientists believe that crop circles might be the result of some kind of electromagnetic field, perhaps generated by underground geological activity, solar flares, or even the machines used in modern farming. These explanations propose that electromagnetic fields could interact with the crops in such a way that causes them to bend without breaking, leading to the characteristic patterns. However, while such theories have been tested in various ways, no conclusive evidence has emerged to explain the phenomenon entirely. The presence of physical anomalies, such as changes in the soil composition or the unusual bending of plants, continues to elude easy explanation. Some studies suggest that crop circles may be the result of localized phenomena like plasma vortexes, which could be responsible for both the electromagnetic effects and the formation of patterns. While these ideas remain speculative, they continue to provide an alternative to the more traditional explanations of hoaxing or artistic expression. In many ways, this scientific approach has brought crop circles back into the realm of serious inquiry, though the debate continues to be marred by skepticism and controversy. But it's not just the scientists and spiritualists who are drawn to crop circles. Artists, too, have found inspiration in their form and symmetry. As the phenomenon continues to grow, the connection between crop circles and contemporary art has deepened. Many artists have begun to create their own versions of crop circles, either by replicating existing designs or by inventing new patterns. These works of art, often created in fields using agricultural techniques or by working with crop farmers, have become a way to explore the intersection of nature, geometry, and human creativity. In some cases, crop circles have even been incorporated into environmental art projects, with artists using the fields as a canvas to convey messages about sustainability, the environment, and human connection to the earth. These projects often bring a new level of meaning to crop circles, turning them from mere curiosities into powerful statements about our relationship with the natural world. The fact that crop circles are so rooted in nature, the very ground they're created in, makes them an ideal medium for these kinds of environmental expressions. In this new era, crop circles have taken on an entirely new significance. They are no longer just strange patterns in the fields, but cultural symbols that reflect a deeper yearning for meaning in the modern world. Whether viewed as a product of artistic expression, a form of divine communication, or a scientific anomaly, crop circles continue to capture the imagination of people around the world. Their intricate beauty and the mystery surrounding their origins ensure that they will remain a part of the cultural landscape for years to come. And perhaps that is the most enduring truth about crop circles. No matter how much we study them, try to understand them, or attempt to debunk them, they remain a testament to the power of the unknown. The mystery of crop circles endures because it speaks to something deeper within us, a desire to connect with the mysteries of the universe, to understand our place in the world, and to grapple with the enigma of existence itself. Whether we are drawn to them for scientific curiosity, artistic inspiration, or spiritual awakening, crop circles will continue to mystify, inspire, and intrigue for generations to come. As we reflect on the long history and ongoing fascination with crop circles, we find that their mystery has become something more profound than a simple agricultural oddity or a hoax. These strange formations, with their perfect geometric patterns and inexplicable appearance have become a canvas for the human imagination, symbolizing our endless quest for understanding, mystery, and connection to the unknown. Throughout the decades, crop circles have inspired theories ranging from alien messages to environmental warnings, from complex artistic expressions to profound spiritual symbols. Yet, despite the increasing number of explanations and the rise of hoax admissions, the allure of crop circles endures. In a world where science often seeks to unravel the mysteries of the universe, crop circles remain one of the few enigmas that resist simple answers. They represent the unknown, the spaces in our understanding where questions outnumber answers. Even as scientists continue to search for natural or man-made causes, whether involving electromagnetic anomalies, weather patterns, or human intervention, there remains something about these formations that refuses to be neatly boxed into a single explanation. Perhaps this is why they continue to captivate so many. They are not just about the shapes in the fields, they are about what those shapes represent, questions about life, the universe, and our place within it. It's important to recognize that crop circles have transcended their origins in the English countryside. No longer just a rural curiosity or a local mystery, crop circles have become a global phenomenon, one that brings people from all corners of the world together. They have sparked debates, inspired art, and even influenced pop culture. From books to movies, TV shows to music videos, crop circles have left their mark on modern storytelling. They serve as a shorthand for the unknown, the mysterious, and the unexplained, seamlessly integrating into narratives that explore alien life, hidden messages, and otherworldly forces. However, this broader cultural adoption of crop circles also highlights a fascinating paradox. As much as the internet and media have exposed crop circles to a wider audience, they have also contributed to the distortion of the phenomenon. With the proliferation of fake crop circles, digital manipulation, and elaborate hoaxes, the line between truth and fiction has blurred to the point where it's often impossible to tell what is real and what is fabricated. This makes crop circles both more elusive and more enticing, as they stand as a symbol of the human fascination with the unknown and our unyielding desire to make sense of it. Yet, perhaps the real mystery of crop circles lies not in their origins, but in why they continue to intrigue us. They have become, in a way, a mirror reflecting our deepest questions about existence. Why do we seek to find patterns in the randomness of nature? Why are we so drawn to the idea of something beyond the ordinary, whether it be alien communication, divine intervention, or some hidden natural force? The continued interest in crop circles suggests that these questions are fundamental to the human experience. In a world increasingly defined by science and reason, crop circles provide a rare opportunity to encounter the inexplicable, something that transcends the rational and taps into the more mystical and existential aspects of life. Despite all the theories, the confessions of hoaxers, and the scientific investigations, there is still no conclusive answer to the crop circle mystery. Some may believe they are simply the work of pranksters or artists, while others see them as messages from the cosmos, pointing us toward a greater understanding of the universe. Still, others view crop circles as part of a spiritual journey, a symbol of the interconnectedness of all things, urging us to reflect on our relationship with nature and the planet. In the end, it's possible that the enduring allure of crop circles lies in the simple fact that they cannot be fully explained. In a world increasingly obsessed with solving every mystery and uncovering every hidden truth, crop circles remain one of the few enigmas that continue to elude us. They serve as a reminder that some questions are more important than answers, that the search for meaning and understanding is often as valuable as the discovery itself. As we lay down our heads tonight, perhaps we should take a moment to appreciate the mysteries that continue to exist in our world. Whether they are crop circles in fields or the countless other unknowns that lie just beyond our reach, these mysteries keep us curious, creative, and engaged with the world in a deeper way. They challenge us to question, to wonder, and to imagine. And maybe, just maybe, that's the greatest gift they can offer. So, as we settle in for the night, let the mystery of crop circles remind you that not everything needs to be understood. Some things are best left to the imagination. After all, the unknown has a beauty all its own. Alright, time to lower the lights, turn on a gentle hum, and drift into rest with the quiet hum of curiosity still lingering in your mind. Good night, and may your dreams be filled with the strange, beautiful mysteries of the world.